Welcome to Geeks and Grounds, a monthly game club and bi-weekly podcast where we play games and brew thoughtful conversation together. I'm your host, Jenny Wyndham, and in case you are new or you need a refresher, we focus on one game a month, really percolate over it, if you will, so we can deep dive into its themes and mechanics and make the connections between what we're playing and our lives. Now, back with us in the cafe for this month, we have the expert stalker and the person who updated the Q Boy without the boss's permission. We have Chris, founder of Honest Indies. Welcome back, Chris.
Hello again. And also, just to clarify, stalker, not stalker.
That's true.
Different words.
Stalker, yes. Of the back room with the beverages,
Stalking
not of the creepy
boxes
kind.
and product and not people.
Yes, very good distinction to make. This month we've been playing Gas Station Story, in case the references to the game did not make sense. And this is a tale of a world trapped in a cycle of destruction, a group of people trying to stop it. But you, unfortunately, are not involved in any of that. You are just in the gas station, working your daily job and trying to make life happen. Just make your day-to-day experience a decent one. And we're going to be talking about what that experience is like in a little bit. If you haven't gotten started yet, don't worry. It's not too late, especially because this game is, I would say, definitely around the 5-hour mark if you're playing relatively slow, maybe up to 8. I've seen some reports, but I would say, would you agree, Chris? About 5 to 8?
It could be much faster, partially if you make decisions that I made that lead to a significantly different playthrough. I beat the game twice, and Steam says I've played it for 6.9 hours. So for me, 2 playthroughs was under 7.
Wow. Dang. So yeah, really the upper end is probably 5 to 8. And then you could go anywhere in between, it sounds like, depending on your choices. And you can pick it up on Steam or on itch, and you can play it on a bevy of platforms. And if you'd like more information on where to find it and all the places you can play it, you can go to geeksandgrounds.com, see the playthrough guide for the game, and use the opportunity to sign up for the newsletter, join the Discord, and do all of the things to hop into the community. It's been great. We've had a bevy of new folks because I finally did a thing and put out a social media post talking about the club, which I was honestly, vulnerable moment here, so nervous about. But I'm hoping to do more of that this year because I want to celebrate this community because it's been such a just solace and like lighthouse in the storm for me over the past few years, especially this year, which has been less than a month. Oh my God. And also I want to celebrate not only the community itself, but like what we do and the conversations we have, because I find you all so just every time I hear from you, I read your comments, I see the emails, I am so impressed and just like honored that this is a space that's being cultivated and you all are doing it. So
yay. You started it.
I did, but you are all continuing it. And so that's the cool part. It's been really amazing to see. So yeah. But gushing aside, we're going to hop into the pastry case to talk about a grab bag of topics, including some news about what's going on in the world, as well as things that we've been engaging with. One of the things that we wanted to kick off with today is just the fact that this year, I think a lot of years have been really rough, but especially in the last week, particularly with the murder of Alex Preddy on Saturday. This has just become another point, an inflection point that I feel like we should speak to on this podcast, especially with so many new folks coming in. We are not an apolitical podcast. The fact that we're talking about our lived experiences hopefully should include everyone in on that. But I wanted to reinforce that this is a space where we do believe in a free Palestine. We do believe in ACAB, that trans rights are human rights, that Trump should be absolutely gone and out of office. And more relevant to what's happening right now, we should abolish ICE. And so I wanted to highlight that, make it very clear where we stand, just philosophically, just values-wise. And I wanted to highlight also that there are a lot of people doing really powerful things, both within Minnesota right now, within individual states that are being impacted by ICE and their presence. And particularly within the games industry, there have been so many live streams, honestly, too many to count, which is really exciting for folks talking about this issue, fundraising for it. But particularly MinMax, I wanted to shout them out because they have people on their team who live in Minnesota. And so they have a perspective of people who are on the ground experiencing this, particularly Ben, Sarah, and Jeff. And at the time I was writing the show notes, they had a great episode with Haley, who is based in Canada, right? I think she's based in Canada,
Yep.
discussing what it's been like on the ground since then, because that was, I think, in response to Renee Good's murder. This was posted on Jan 12th, and things have escalated. And Chris, if you wanted to talk a little bit about what they've recently posted as well, if you wanted to give context for that, we'll have that linked in the show notes.
Yeah. So today they posted a edit. Ben Hansen specifically posted a social that he spent a lot of his weekend putting this together, and just the core message is just asking people to spread what is happening in Minnesota, in Minneapolis specifically, the Twin Cities in general, and like the state as a whole. It's a pretty harrowing video. It explicitly doesn't show either of the public executions that have taken place within the last couple of weeks, but does still show a whole lot of other things that is happening there on a daily basis. And it is not easy to watch, but it's important to share, particularly for people that are maybe somehow still not aware or in denial because they listen to the government gaslighting you and lying to you every day. So I think it's impactful watch and something to pass along to other people.
Yeah. In addition to their coverage, which again, I highly recommend watching both if you're able, but if nothing else, maybe the discussion that Ben, Sarah, and Jeff have in terms of what it's like on the ground currently. They are doing a fundraiser for the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. There are plenty of organizations you can donate to if you're financially able. So if you have any that you are particularly passionate about, any causes, any GoFundMes, like please feel free to share them in our Discord and contribute as you are able. But if you have been looking for a place to financially contribute, this is a link that is available, and they have done incredible work. Their goal was $70,000. They're already at $124,000 and a little bit. So this is really amazing to see the community come together to do this. I also want to highlight that financially supporting isn't the only way. Please know that resistance happens on a variety of fronts. So if you're able to print zines and pass them out to help inform folks, 3D print whistles, if you know how to translate documentation so people in a variety of languages can access them, these are all skills that can be utilized. And it can even be as simple as just saying hi to your neighbors and letting them know your phone number and where they can reach you if anything is happening on your street. So really, I wanted to take the time to acknowledge like this is happening. I know I've had a hard time playing games and concentrating over the last few weeks, but especially this last weekend. And really the biggest thing that we can help avoid feeling in terms of being stuck or feeling super anxious and fearful is taking some sort of action and communicating with one another about how we're feeling so that we can remember that we're all in this together, like High School Musical style, but for real, you know? So yeah. So thanks for letting me share that. I don't know if Chris, you wanted to add to any of that?
Just a little bit. I mean, seconding everything you said, and also just that I'm not from Minnesota. I don't live in Minnesota, but I did live in Iowa for about 15 years, and I've been to Minnesota a bunch. And I'm really proud of the people of Minnesota. Like, they've done incredible, mind-blowing things for each other and their community between the general strike that they happened on Friday, the way people showed up in extreme, like, deadly low temperatures the entire weekend and really every single day. I've been crying on a daily basis because of the atrocities happening, and then also because of some sort of uplifting feelings by other humans. and trying to not get too dark about it and think everyone is awful, because there's millions of people that are not, and they're proving that every single day. And just that this is also like an ongoing situation, and it's not going to end anytime soon. We need to collectively keep it up and like be there for each other. And reportedly, some people are going to be leaving Minnesota, but also the day this airs, Trump is going to be in Des Moines, Iowa, 3.5 hours south of Minneapolis. And there's people thinking that the people leaving Minnesota today are going to be in Iowa tomorrow. So just look out for each other.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a long haul situation. And yeah, we just have to really the biggest I at this point don't have a lot of faith necessarily in the state leadership, the governance that we have, but I do have a lot of faith, mirroring what you said, Chris, in the people around us, and that's where I'm finding a lot of solace. And I think you're right. We just have to keep eyes up and keep eyes out for each other. So yeah. And again, if you have anything you would like to vent, we do have a section in our Discord for folks to share just any thoughts they may have. If you are feeling alone and you're feeling stuck, please do reach out in the Discord. And if we aren't able to talk through it, there are resources that we can share for you. So yeah. With that, because remembering to find time for a little bit of joy, time to relax as well as stay connected, I wanted to highlight some of the things that we have been engaged with and what has been keeping spirits up, in addition to the amazing things we've seen coming out of Minnesota and the people there. Chris, I know we had something kind of similar, and I would love for you to kick it off and share what you've been excited about over this last 2-week period.
Okay. So, yeah, our shared excitement is comedy, essentially, and a
Yes.
shared appreciation for Vic Michaelis specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love Dropout.tv, formerly College Humor. Back when I was actually in college over a decade ago, I would watch College Humor on their website, which
Oh my
feels
gosh.
so old. So there are people like Josh Rubin that I would watch back then that are now like regularly on Dropout content. And Vic Michaelis is on the new season of Dimension 20, their tabletop show that's not always D&D. It's not currently
Mm-hmm.
D&D. And that's been fun to watch, and just nice to have those vibes. The season is called The Gladlands, and it's like Mad Max Badlands, but
It's
positive and uplifting and
amazing.
like
Oh
weird.
my God.
The like core part of the story so far revolves around a chili cook-off. So like that has been
Oh
a nice respite from other things. And just watching the new season actually that's on there, make some noise whenever that pops out. Big fan of everything that they do, pretty much. And it is
my
consistently
God.
the thing that will make me laugh or put a smile on my face, even if it's rewatching the same episode like 3 or 4 times. So that has been in the regular rotation lately, where no matter what
Yeah.
I'm doing on this screen, I have something from Dropout on my other monitor at some point during every single day.
I have to credit like former regular host Joel for putting me on Dropout. I was quite resistant. I will admit, because I would originally see Dropout stuff focusing on like Brennan Lee Mulligan, who I think he is amazing now, but his first impression, the little bits that I got, I was like, oh my gosh, this is probably one of the most like annoying kids at school kind of vibe. Like
He was
this
homeschooled.
is he was homeschooled, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna lie, is this like another white guy who just really likes to hear the sound of his voice and he's maybe not that funny? And I will say, I genuinely think he is so smart. He's really funny. I've appreciated the way that he has used his platform. So I am on the Brennan Lee Mulligan train for sure. But I did have my skepticism at the very beginning. But I am a Dropout fan now. And Vic Michaelis is probably one of my favorite folks I've discovered through Dropout. And one of the things I was excited about that I'm kind of attaching to yours just because they are so similar. on the Vic Michaelis hype train, aka vehicular manslaughter, is they did a Last Meals episode with, honestly, I forget the name of the host of Last Meals because I
Me too,
really
because
only
I've
go
only
for the
seen two
guests.
episodes, and they were with Vic and with Brennan.
Oh my gosh, me, yep. And I really only watch for the guests. And Vic's episode was incredibly chaotic and just like so fast. I think it's maybe the fastest interview in terms of the word per minute. Probably one of the funniest Last Meal episodes I've ever watched, and so I will link it to for my excited about because it's so good. And I wanted to highlight their show, Very Important People. I regularly tell myself, get your head out of your ass, because of the Tommy Shrigley episode. And
Also,
that
shout out
is, I
Zach
think,
Oyama.
yeah, Zach Oyama, also a favorite comedian of mine who I discovered through Dropout. Yeah. In a moment whenever I need like a little self pep, I think, get your head out of your ass, Tommy Shrigley style. And I clap my little hands. And it never fails to make me feel better. So I will actually, I'll make a note to myself to link that
Share that one
episode
too.
as well because
Yeah,
it's on
people need to
YouTube. Yeah,
know what you're talking
the
about.
people need to know. Because if you don't know, it probably is just like, what? But it's really the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in terms of improv comedy situation. So yeah, so I'll let you continue with what you're excited about, but I had to put mine in a little early because it was just so good.
It's so good. So yeah, dropout content in general is what I'm excited about. But really, it's been that plus games that have been carrying me through. And there's been moments where I just don't feel like playing anything, and then it's really just Dropout. But last episode, I mentioned having an itch for another RPG, and I had
Mm.
tried a couple of things and just wasn't hitting. And in that time, I have beaten an indie RPG called
Mm.
Artist Impact. And I think
Cool.
it's amazing. It
Yeah.
is kind of light on the RPG part. I mentioned being picky about combat systems, and this combat system isn't a particularly memorable one, but the combat is a small part of what the game is. It has just incredible art, kind of like manga, like comic book panels popping up at different times and at different scenes and layering on top of each other, and just very emotive characters and incredible cozy vibes in
Mm.
between a pretty bleak future where AI have taken over the world and wiped out most of humanity. So it's also thematically relevant.
Hmm.
um, and I would recommend it to people if you're patient, because one of the flaws of this game is its kind of lack of onboarding and tutorialization. The very beginning, there'll be arrows pointing you where to go, but then there's just times where it doesn't say much of anything, and you're gonna run into a couple fights you cannot possibly win and aren't supposed to, and
Mm.
it's a little abrasive at the beginning. If you get through the first half hour, then you're gonna have 8 or 9 hours of pretty beautiful passion project developed by one person over like 6 years. Also, for any fans of the manga Claymore, Artist Impact gives
Hmm.
like major Claymore vibes of like single badass woman with a big sword fighting monsters. So highly
That's
recommend that.
amazing.
It
I
came
will
out on
say,
August 7th, which was an insane day for indies because
yeah.
so much came out that day that you're partially responsible for, because two Wholesome Games Presents titles released on that day, and
Uh-huh.
one of them was a shadow drop. So I didn't get to it sooner because I was playing other things. But
I
I'm
take the
glad I got to it
blame.
now because it hit me at like a really good time now.
Yeah, I think it was actually maybe part of because that was the day of the Wholesome Game Celebration, which is our annual Steam event, and I think it was a part of it as well. It's been featured in the Wholesome. I don't know if it was the direct or the snack, one of our showcases
Somewhere.
before. Um, but yeah, artists. So a little bit of lore and incentive for folks maybe to play this game as well. This was actually on my list of games potentially to play this year as part of one of my
Ooh.
curated selections, and I ended up not picking it. But it was up there. So I am co signing your recommendation. I do think it has its rough spots and it has its edges, but I think as a whole, it is such a great experience and a highly like undiscussed one that I hope more folks play. So yeah, definitely happy you enjoyed your time with it.
Yeah, it's probably the first game that has made me have to sit in a tub or hot springs regularly to get rid of like poison or blight or whatever, and to like actually have a timer on screen of like how much time is passing sitting on a bench or doing push-ups. Like similar to Gas Station Story, it's a game that in a very different way just like makes you just like take your time. And
Hmm.
I found it remarkably pleasant. And
Yay.
besides things that I've already played, I'm excited for indies coming out this week. The day this is out, the Spirit Lift releases, which is a
Hmm.
90s campy horror deck building roguelike game with a team of high school kids exploring a like haunted spirit mansion. And the demo was very good, so I'm looking forward to that. Another cozy game, Spring Tales, drops on the 29th. The demo for that is also delightful. It is about community coming together to uplift each other after a storm. And it's just covered with tons of different mini games that feel like grabbing like any, I call them clean em ups, like Undusted, where the main mechanic is cleaning something. Like it's bringing that in plus cooking mechanics and different little to the left style stuff. It's just grabbing a little bit from a whole ton of other games and throwing it all into one in a pretty awesome way. And then in the very pink, Don't Stop Girly Pop releases that same day. And I don't know if I can handle a FPS that's that fast, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing what people think, watching people play it. I'm excited for these three particular games this week, and I'm going
Hmm.
to be playing at least two of them immediately.
Yeah, I have been very excited for Springtails and Don't Stop Girly Pop. I've tried the demo a couple times and I think it just maybe out of my skill set. But
I think if I
it's
played
one
it
of those
10 years
games.
ago, I would be ready for it, but I
Yeah.
play so few
Yeah.
shooters now, and then especially at that pace, but it's awesome.
It's so cool. So yeah, I'm in the same boat with Don't Stop Girly Pop where I am probably not going to play it myself, but I am so stoked to have it out in the world and to see other people play it because it's such like you look at it and it has such a strong voice, and it's incredible. And I can't believe that it took this long to get such a girly pop game like shooter out there in the world.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
nothing else like it, which you can't say about everything.
yeah, it's true. It is so distinctive. Um, yeah, I will admit, I haven't played a ton of variety of games, anything new. I've been, poking away at my Undertale playthrough. I tried a demo for a game called Bento Blocks, which is a really polished, like a really solid game experience. It's very familiar in the sense that it's one of those games where you have a shape, you have a certain number of slices, you're cutting the slices and then you're fitting them into a box. The theming is bento lunches, and so you're cutting up like rice to make sure it fits into the bento. But it was honestly perfect for me because I was like, I can't do anything with a story right now. Over this weekend, I was like, I can't do anything with the story. I can't do anything too hard, but I need something to like occupy my brain. And so it fit that perfectly for me. And it's a really great game if you just want some solid puzzles. And I think they said in the demo by the end they're going to have over 100 and they're all handcrafted puzzles. So just really good if you're looking for something of that vein. But for me, I have been loving, and I think I mentioned this in the Discord, but Friday nights we are in a season of really good shows. We have Fearin season 2 that has just kicked off, and I'm still in season 1, but I'm counting it as like my Fearin nights are Fridays, and I watch one episode and just like enjoy it and try to make it last as long as possible. The Pit, which is another show I've been really into, which is a hospital drama where every episode takes place over an hour within the day, the workday of that hospital. The Pit is so good. incredible character drama. And that comes out, I think, on Thursday nights, but I save it for Fridays. And then my current K drama is it's called No Tale to Tell, and it is on Netflix. It is a Gumiho sort of inspired fairy tale, which is like the Korean version of the nine-tailed fox. And this one's great because normally the Gumiho tales in K dramas involve the Gumiho wanting to fall in love with a human so that she can gain humanhood and not be a Gumiho anymore. This one is about her not wanting to fall in love with a human, and she loves utilizing humans to just maintain her spiritual energy so she can stay immortal. But of course, you know that hijinks will ensue, and despite her best efforts, she might start having feelings for a human, and that kind of like tension, slight enemies to lovers vibe. Very fun, and it's so cheesy. And there's a little bit of convoluted like magic curses gone awry kind of situations happening. We're on episode 4 and it's great. So I've been having a fun TGIF saving those shows for Friday nights and I can binge them and it's just wonderful. I baked oatmeal and chocolate chip cookies. I was going to bake salt bread, but that was just too complicated. I decided to save it for later. And yeah, other than that, my thing I've been excited about is taking Muay Thai and taking ballet, which feel like they might be on two opposite ends of like the class skill spectrum, but they both require such good hip strength and flexibility. They're actually working real well together. And Muay Thai makes me feel like a badass. I have been learning how to punch and kick. And after every class, I swear I feel like Tifa. It's great. Like I go into class and I'm like, I can visualize myself looking like Tifa doing these things. And it feels very good. So I highly recommend you can find a great studio. I will admit I found a place that's super welcoming, no gym bro mentality, which has helped a lot. Muay Thai is a blast. So
So
yeah.
you've been a dancer for a very long time. Have you done other types of
Mhm.
like martial arts stuff, or is that new?
This is new. I tried some jujitsu, wasn't a huge fan. I didn't really like grappling. It was a lot more like hugging and weight transfers on the ground. That was not very interesting to me. Um, I thought it was going to be more punching, and so yeah, jujitsu is the first time that I've had like a martial art that I've been excited about. My mom was like international competitor in karate, so I should have done karate, but I never did. Yeah, I think that may be it for what we're excited about. My cat is also pacing around, so now is probably a good time, really quick, for me to let her out, and then we can get to this month's brew.
Sounds good.
Okay, let me do a quick time mark just to make sure. About 28. Um, and let me just throw her out. Sounds a bit extreme. I'm gonna set her gently out on the hallway hallway floor, so that she can stop pacing on my stuff. Ooh.
So I just Googled quick because I didn't remember what it was, but Vic Michaelis is a second degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh my god. That's a sign. I feel like everything's coming together.
Everything's coming
Um,
up, Vic.
Truly though, like it's just they're the funniest person I think I've seen in a long time. Just the dry, quick humor.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's something about the delivery and like how easily and quickly they can just kind of like turn things around on the host of any show that they're on.
yeah. Like I think that's what I loved about Last Meal so much was because they just like immediately started asking the interviewer questions. It's like this is another episode of Very Important People with food. That's great. Okay. Let's see. So about 29:55. All right. Are, Are we good to go? Do you need a bio breaker? Cat
No, I
shifting?
think we're okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, cats have been moved, everything is settled, and it's time to dive into this month's brew. So, we're going to kick off with our non spoiler section overview of the game and what we thought about it without giving away too many of the details that make those playthroughs special, just in case you haven't had a chance to finish it. Of course, you have plenty of time. We still have our hangout at the end of the month if you're listening to this as it releases. Our hangout is on January 31st at 3 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday. So we've still got a week approximately for you to play. And then after that, we will go into the spoilers and the deep dive section. But Chris, if you wanted to kick off the non spoiler section.
Yeah, this summary is slightly, my own words, slightly the Steam description. But Gas Station Story is a dystopian slice of life game about spending a week working a gas station in the far future on a distant planet. Each day presents seemingly small choices that can lead to highly varied outcomes and 30 possible endings. It was made by solo developer Enzi, using GB Studio and an actual Game Boy camera for the character portraits, which is pretty awesome.
That is incredible. And really one of my favorite elements of the game in terms of visuals. I would say the visuals are pretty Game Boy standard. It's pixel art. You've got, I forget what the ratio, but it's a true square screen. So if you're playing it on a Game Boy, it's filled. But if you're playing it on a widescreen, you'll have the bars that show, this is almost of another time. It really
Yeah,
transports you
like watching
visually.
a show online in the pre-HD days.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. It's so fun. Um, and what I love too is it has a pretty limited color palette. I did not check if the color palette is true to the Game Boy, but I imagine it's pretty close. It feels like it's relatively close. I don't know if you had any knowledge on that, Chris, or if you found that out.
I did not. But this is also just a good time to mention that there is the color mode, which is what I played in, and I think most of us did, but also in kind of like the GB mode, like where it is
Mm-hmm.
just muted, kind of grayscale or
Oh,
green
yeah.
scale. And you can play, in addition to all of these handheld options, there's multiple different PC ways to play as well. So I played it in full screen with
Mm-hmm.
those bits cut out, but you could also play where you're looking at a computer in the game and then the game is
Mm-hmm.
on that computer screen. So there's like a lot of
Which
different
is
ways to experience
so
this game.
meta.
Yeah.
And you can if and I think someone there was at least one person in Discord who posted about this, but you if you have a Game Boy or a Game Boy sort of emulator, I guess, or one of those Game Boy mimic handhelds, you can play it on one of those as well. And so what I think is so cool is it's like the commitment to the bit, I guess, that this isn't just like, oh, we wanted to make a game that felt like a Game Boy game. It's like, actually, no, we went all the way. And there was actually even a sale or a pre-order for Game Boy cartridges with this game on it, like in the box. So going back to full, you know, original hardware kind of energy, which is really cool. And I don't know, it's nice to see that. It's just fun to see ways that this hardware is still being perpetuated and kind of preserved in this way.
Yeah. I've never played anything else quite like it, or that has just this breadth of options to how you can interact with it.
Yeah. Um, the audio is again brings back the era of the chip tunes that you would hear on the Game Boy. There are multiple artists that collaborated with Enzi on the soundtrack. I think there were three total. Actually, let me bring up their Bandcamp very quickly.
While you were doing
Um,
that, I'm going to just read this little quote from the Bandcamp
yeah.
page that I think is a good descriptor of what the OST is like and a little bit of the game. And it
Hmm.
says, immerse yourself in the chiptune desert with the Gas Station Story OST. Warning, may contain an overwhelming sense of dread and hopelessness, glitchy reality warping, and a few too many sugary beverages.
That's amazing. And the collaborators on this official soundtrack are Emberlyn Bland, NZ, Doma Rocket, and Robot Meadows. And I will say I have been listening to the soundtrack. Some of these tracks are very bleak, and especially considering some of the tracks that I encountered within the game, and they have the memories associated with them I don't really want to listen to. But there are just some really incredible moments throughout this OST that I have actually ended up adding to my video game playlist that I have for when I work, and it's awesome. And the final sort of boss track that
It's really
happens
good.
is like, oh my god,
Yeah,
incredible. Did you have
it's
any
really good.
favorites?
That one,
Yeah.
that song, the final boss one, and then I do just think that the song you hear the most in your playthrough, which is the song that
Hmm.
plays when you're in the gas station the entire time, is like the most cheery, chiptune song in the entire soundtrack, in a way that kind of confuses me, because
Yeah.
like the game isn't a cheery time, and you're in this gas station for 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day, way too
Hmm.
long every day, but it's just do 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 every time.
Yeah.
And I've gotten that song stuck in my head every day
Hmm.
since I first started the first playthrough.
It's so funny because even this morning, also because gas station story has been on my mind, but this morning when I logged into my computer, I heard the wah wah do do, and then like it began, and I was like, oh my god, okay, I'm I love this, but also I can't wait to like start listening to another game's
Other things,
soundtrack
yep.
to to fresh the brain.
Yeah.
It honestly, the hearing that and hearing you talk about it reminds me of how, okay, I used to work at Hollywood Video, RIP, and it reminds me of when we would have every month we'd get a new like promo reel to have playing on repeat in the shop. And I don't remember of any of them anymore, but I remember at the time, the reels themselves wouldn't be very long. And so I would have the thing memorized after one shift, and you have to listen to it for the entire month of the same trailers and sort of soundtracks being played. And it kind of reminded me of that feeling of just like, oh, here's the soundtrack to my life, as sponsored
My
by corporate.
my headcanon for that song being so cheery is kind of that. I I'm
Yeah.
I have decided that the boss read something somewhere that's like music like this will encourage people to spend more, and just has been like, this is what
Yes.
plays all day every day for forever. And that's why there's
Hmm.
like this disconnect between that vibe and everything else.
I love that so much, and I hate it, but I love it. um, so music, visuals, I think really, really solidly done. Could you speak to some of the mechanics that we encounter, at a high level as we play the game?
Yeah, still not spoiling anything, but just the general loop at the beginning in like day zero, the tutorial day, is starting at your little apartment. There's different things you can interact with throughout your playthrough, but sometimes it says that's just a toilet or whatever. Not everything is going to have anything special going on with it. Doing your little commute to work, opening the gas station. You're not the only employee there, but you are the one who is first person there, last one to leave kind of vibe. And then there's just different little workplace mini games like stocking the back room. I think only one time I had a spill happen and there was like a mopping mini game. I don't know if that repeated for you at all, but I only
Hmm.
had it happen once. And then a core thing is checking out customers at the register and the mechanics of the register changing over time.
Yeah. Um, Overall, I feel like the mechanics of this game were very interesting to me simply because in the moment there's like an element of fun, but as a whole I think it mimicked the drudgery of working retail in a pretty effective way. So I was actually quite impressed with it, even though as I was playing I was kind of like, this isn't necessarily a fun game. I'm not having like a blast playing this, but I am intrigued and excited the whole time to see what's happening next. So it was a very interesting feeling for me.
And I'm curious, maybe people have spoken to this more in the Discord, and I need to go read that. But I'm curious to see a bit of how it feels playing it in different ways. Like instead of
Hmm.
slowly moving a cursor to hit the soda icon, what is it like playing it on a Game Boy? And
Yeah.
just if the mechanical changes of that provide a different general vibe for the player or not. Or
Hmm.
like playing it in color mode, when you do the stocking mini game at the bottom of the screen the first time, it's like, here is what beverage is associated with the different things you're stocking it, but they're all different colors. So it says memorize, but playing it in color mode, you don't need to memorize anything because you can see the colors associated with them and just
Hmm.
move your character over. But if you're not playing in color, you do actually need to memorize. So I need to pick up a Game Boy, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I know. I have one, and I am so bad at anything beyond like plugging a game, the cartridge in, or just hitting play, download on a thing. So I
Same,
admittedly
really.
am kind of intimidated by trying, but I think I'd love to try and get this game on my Game Boy if I can, because that would be very cool. And then the overall story, I feel like you've done pretty well in terms of the summary, and really that's all you need to know. The high level that Chris gave, I think that's all you need to know for the story before going in. Um, Beyond that, I think a lot of the interest for me in the story came from what happened in the minutia of the day as you're interacting with customers, as you're working with the Q Boy point of sale system, and that's what we'll be getting into in the spoilers section. I don't know. Do you have anything else you'd like to add in terms of the story as a high level overview?
Um, Not story related, but there is one trigger warning I want to give people before we get into spoiler
Hmm.
territory. Would you like that now?
I think so. Yeah, that would be very good.
Okay. Um, because yeah, the game mentions there's like reference to alcohol and drugs and cigarettes and stuff, but I think it's relevant for people to know that depending on your choices, like not everyone will experience this. Actually, the minority of people will actually have this happen in their game, but there can be very sudden violence, and it's not realistic graphics. It's like
Mm-hmm.
16-bit style, but especially because of what we were talking about at the top of this show, like if just having
Yeah.
kind of minimal warning, couple little animations of something bad happening, uh, just maybe be mindful that that is possible. And
Mm.
yeah, again, most people won't have that, but depending on how your playthrough goes, because there's 30 different endings and like a lot of change we're still kind of figuring out as a community on Discord, that can happen for some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Thank you for that heads up. Yeah, I think we did kind of skim over the fact that there are 30 possible endings, which is astounding for a game of this length, I feel.
And I
Because
know some
being a
of them, sorry, I know some of them
oh
are
no, go
very
ahead.
similar. It's more like this
Mhm.
core thing happens, and then depending on other things you did or didn't do, there's like something being added on to that. But still, I feel like as a collective, we've only hit maybe a dozen of the different 30 endings, which is wild.
That's incredible. Yeah, major kudos to Enzi for making that, because it has felt like when I've seen people discuss their experiences, as a whole, we're all doing similar activities within the shop, but then when people are posting their endings, there have been a couple where my jaw actually has dropped because I was not expecting what they posted in the slightest. And some of them have elicited questions that have made me want to go back and play through again. And I had mentioned I was going to try to do a second playthrough. And then after this weekend, I just didn't have the sort of the capacity to do that. But I am very curious to see if I can go in and try ahead of our hangout on Saturday, if I can try and get at least one ending that someone else hasn't gotten, because I think it's just incredible the breadth that this game seems to cover, even if it's just minute details that are differentiated. So, before we hop into our deep dive of the game, I am curious, Chris, who would you recommend this game to, or what kind of player do you think would most enjoy an experience like Gas Station Story?
So, somewhat similar to talking about artist impact earlier, um, I think you need to be a patient game like a patient gamer with this one, um, because certain things are purposefully slow, specifically interactions with the point of sale, the queue boy. And it's commented on by the characters. It's just a slow, bad point of sale. And there's going to be a little bit of friction with things like that. So if you like want things to be snappier and faster, that's not going to happen. Even as things speed
Mhm.
along or change, it's not in a way that radically changes that part of the game. But if you're patient, if you're willing to just sit down for 3.5 to 8 hours and experience this narrative and have all these different customer interactions that I think are really like the heart of the game, then you're going to get something out of this.
Mhm. I very would much agree. Um, I think for me, if you are a person who is interested in characters in games, if you're interested in a lot of ways creating your own backstory and role playing, this is an interesting experience because the game doesn't have role playing in the sense of you're giving yourself stats and you're building a character, but there's a lot of room for you to create yourself, however you'd like to be as the clerk, and how you react to things. And I think this was an interesting role playing experience that I did not anticipate it being, but I think if you enjoy it, this could be a great one to dive into for a quick one shot, essentially. I also feel like if you enjoy choices, sometimes without even knowing you're making choices, and seeing impacts as you play, this game had a surprising amount of that by the end of it. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's go in and actually clock in to our shift at the gas station. As usual, we're going to be going through in a relative linear fashion from the prologue all the way to the finale and discussing the differences and similarities in our playthrough, as well as some of the questions that came up as we played. What I wanted to do is kick off the intro by reading the prologue because I felt like it set the tone in an incredible way. And so took screenshots. So the year is 2278 AD. The Great Human Acquisition War has come to an end, and the galaxy is at peace once more under the banner of the Earth Corporation. Now, the dominant business in the galaxy, the allied forces of the Earth Corporation, have declared their mission: profit at any expense. At the fringes of human territory, a dissidence grows. Extremist groups make their voices known through acts of violence and terrorism. Minority groups face greater economic pressure than ever before, leaving everyone feeling on edge and frustrated. The very fabric of interstellar society is beginning to break down. And then I did skip one of the pages, sorry, but the summary is you're probably not a part of any of it. You work at a gas station. And thus the story begins. What did you think when you read this, Chris? Because this is such an epic beginning, and then us.
Yeah, it's almost like a Star Wars-esque crawl kind of vibe
Yeah.
of just white text, black background, and then just one image of a bunch of people with fire behind them and part of it. Um, yeah, while I was reading this, as we got to like the second or third page, I was thinking, I think I said aloud to myself, but we just work at a gas station. And then the next screen was, you work at a gas station. So I just
Hmm.
love having those moments of like thought voiced, and then immediately the writer's like, yep, that exact thing. Um, yeah, it gave me an unexpected laugh to kick off the game. What
Yeah,
about you?
it
Getting like all
is.
of this world building and then kind of tearing it down.
Yeah, I had a very similar reaction where it did. Star Wars was the exact thing I thought, where I was like, oh my gosh, like the galaxy is in danger, Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Jedi are here, and it's like, oh, but you're just on like my Star Wars knowledge is bad, so I should have stopped. But it's like
You're not
you're
on
just on
Tatooine on a
Tatooine.
farm.
Yeah.
You're somewhere else, also in a desert. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought it was really funny. It was a great example of like building this tension and like you think that you've got this climax and then it just whoop, kind of like pulls the rug a little bit from you in a really great fashion. Um and I liked it, and I think what made me excited is we play games most often where you are a part of the resistance and you are part
Yeah.
of, tearing down the structures that are, holding people under oppression and you're the hero in these stories. And in this, we are a protagonist, but we're not necessarily a hero. And I think that
Right.
framing is just really fun in this
Where
because we
no
just don't
one's
experiencing that.
Yeah, where no one's only hope. We're not having a
No.
hero's journey. We're just ringing people up and trying to not mess up the amount.
Yeah. And maybe that's too painfully relatable. I can see, honestly, I could see how this game, for me, very cathartic. I think for a lot of folks, it might just be like, nope, it's too much like real life. I don't care to relive real life in a game because where's the fun in that? And I would not argue with you if that was your opinion, honestly. But yeah, you come in, the days are structured. It's this game happens over a series of 4 full days, and then you get like a finale and a day zero, which is essentially your tutorial. And for me, day zero, super basic.
Yeah.
You're learning the structure of the day. You're opening the shop. You're turning on the cue boy, meeting customers, meeting your coworker Sam, and then heading home. I'm sure the first day is probably very similar and maybe exactly the same with everyone. But just to share, I met a guy who everyone was pretty nice. I met a guy wearing a beanie who grew to be one of my favorite customers. An alien kid wearing one of those hats with a spinny propeller
Yeah.
who kept wanting to buy cigarettes even though they were underage, and a frog guy who also became another favorite customer of mine because they would just come in and want a beer
Get the
to
one
just close
beer.
out their day. Yeah, the
Yeah.
one beer. Um, are those the folks you met on the first day?
Yeah, in both of my
Approximately.
playthroughs. So I
Yeah.
think day zero is maybe the one day that doesn't really have change minus
Okay.
how you interact with those three.
Mm-hmm. And then you got to meet your coworker Sam. Now Sam plays, depending on how you play, plays a role in your playthroughs. I wanted to highlight. We talked about it a little bit last episode, but Sam, as a character, represents for the developer someone that they met and grew to have a relationship with. I think they drew inspiration from their partner and them meeting in a retail environment, and that's kind of where Sam comes in as a character. So I know just from reading the Kickstarter, I was already primed to be like, hey Sam, I think you're really cool. So I did go into my playthrough intending to be very nice to Sam and to probably try and romance them if I had any opportunity. But what about you?
So to add to that a little bit, to set up these characters a little bit more, I read the rest of the devlogs since last time in
Mm-hmm.
between my first and second playthrough, and it's revealed that the portraits for the clerk are of Enzi's
Yes.
partner, and the portraits for Sam are Enzi in makeup with a wig. And
Yes.
canonically, Sam is trans.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out. Um, and the clerk is non-binary. So I don't think that's really explicitly said. Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
is, and there's just dialogue that I didn't get because of the choices that I made in both playthroughs. But just wanted to also throw that out there. And
Yeah.
yeah, like even though you can romance Sam or not, or you can try and fail, and you can be nice to customers or rude or a mishmash, and the Steam description is even like, be rude to customers, fall in love. I was trying for that, and I flubbed it immediately, and Sam was not
Oh
in
no.
most of my first playthrough, which we'll get
Oh
to
my gosh.
soon.
Very soon.
Yeah,
Yeah, which when you texted me that, I was like, my jaw was on, that was one of my jaw drop moments
yeah.
because I did not anticipate that being one of the shifts that could have happened in the game
Me
because Sam
neither, and
seemed like
so
such an
early.
yeah, and so early. So that was when I got really, really excited for this episode, to be honest, was when you texted me that. And I was like, oh man, we have very different playthroughs happening right now. And I think it was this day zero where you get the option to update the Q Boy or not. And did you choose to update the Q Boy? And if so, what
So
was
yeah,
your reasoning for it?
yes. So I did complete two playthroughs. I'm gonna mostly be speaking to the first one because that was when I had less information. I didn't know what
Hmm.
to do and where to find things, and it's like my like canon playthrough to me. And I
Hmm.
did update it, but because of a little bit of a fourth wall breaky gamer moment of I assumed it would update no matter what. That like I could say no and it would still do it on its own, or I could say no and it would ask multiple times. And I was like, I'm gonna skip that and just say yes. And also, okay, so talking about the Q Boy a little bit, if it were just a normal register or computer, as someone who also works retail, I would totally update the Mac or whatever, like update the thing that
Hmm.
we need to function to make transactions happen. I wouldn't really think anything of it. But the Q Boy being a alternate universe Game Boy, like they talk about how this was just a whole bunch of these were found by the manufacturer, Pantendo. Um,
Hmm.
I believe that the Q in Q Boy stands for queer because of
Hmm.
Pantendo. They just
Yes, I
found a whole
love
bunch of
that.
these and then like converted them into point of sale systems and sold them to like make money. So
Hmm.
being an old Game Boy not connecting to the internet should have probably made me rethink the update a little bit more because they immediately comment on that of like, this thing's not connected to anything. How is there an update? But I just did it.
Hmm. Yeah, I wasn't that smart. I didn't even think about it being connected to the internet until later on one of the later days. I think one either Sam or you as the clerk mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's a good point." But I just was similar in the sense that I figured if I was actually working a job and my computer said to update, like a register. If my personal computer said to update, I probably would click no. Let's be real.
Um,
um,
sure, yeah.
Usually, updates
The
don't
register
mean good
computer
things
though.
anymore. Side note, my iPhone, I have been resisting the latest update
Same.
because I have only heard bad things, but I was half asleep and I saw the pop up and I accidentally clicked to go for it. And so now I have the newest update and it has like made my phone so slow. So don't do it. It's a Q-boy moment. It's the worst. If you haven't yet updated your iPhone. But yeah, for something related to work, especially in a retail environment, I probably would have been like, yeah, let's just go for it. So that was my mentality. I just updated that thing. I was like, you know what? If it's broken, the boss can fix it. It's
Yeah.
not my problem. So yeah, I just updated it and went straight home to my really sad apartment. I will have to say that was really illuminating the first time you go into your own apartment and see just how impersonal it is. It does not feel like a home. That
Yeah.
was the first thing I noticed.
Yeah, agreed. It has kind of all the necessities and a large TV, but it's very basic. There's nothing personal about it there. This
Hmm.
is also they don't ever explicitly do it, but it seems like phones don't really exist in this world, but people have
Hmm.
terminals. So you do have a terminal in your apartment, and maybe we'll get regular messages from Sam on there, or maybe we'll never use it almost the entire game.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember playing and for anyone who hasn't played and wants to see a playthrough, I did upload mine on my channel, but I remember seeing the apartment and just saying like this it's just so sad because you can tell this is one of those like I come here just to eat, I come here just to sleep, but I am spending pretty much every other waking hour at work.
Yeah.
And you see that because as you move into the next day, I think your commute's at like 5 or 6 a.m., but you
It's
get
early.
home at around 1 or 2. And so really there is no time for you to do anything but shower, grab a bite and like fall into bed.
Right.
Um,
I interacted with
which
the TV a few times, and there'd be comments on
yeah.
like, "Oh, like I'm gonna record whatever show," or "I wonder if the news has this," and then it was usually like, "I don't have the time," or "I don't have the energy," like I can't even watch a thing. I'm just gonna sleep.
Hmm. Which again, it's like if that is currently sort of your life pattern, I know like especially when I was in college and like the first years of me like working in my career. Like, I know for sure that was also kind of what my life pattern was like, and it really sucked. And so again, it was one of those moments where like I'm a bit separated from that time period, but I can remember what those days were like, and I really hate it. And I don't know if I could play this game if I was doing this right now. Frankly, I wouldn't be playing this game if I was doing this right now because I wouldn't
Wouldn't
have the
have the money
time.
for
But
it. Or a
yeah,
PC.
exactly. Yeah. Um, but they do such a I think this game does a really great job of very quickly establishing the stakes and the routine and the monotony, I guess, the mundane aspects of your life. So in just one day, which is about 20 minutes, I would say each day is maybe about 20 minutes longer as the game progresses. Um, what was your first day like, Chris? Day one is titled Living the Dream for both of us.
Backing up briefly, in my day
Mm-hmm.
zero, I did sell cigarettes to the alien kid.
Oh my gosh, what
He
happened?
comes back a second time, but I did do
Mhm.
it. And it was like a fine, this one time, you better have your ID next time. He comes back on a future day, doesn't have his ID again, and it's immediately just like, dude, you know what I was gonna say. And he's just like, okay, and leaves. Um, so I did do that. That was like the one significant customer interaction. And I like asked, I don't remember if you asked the frog guy about his routine this instance or if that's later, but I asked about why do you only get one
Mhm.
beer, and beanie guy or stoner, I think is maybe how he's listed in the
Yeah.
credits. It's
Yeah.
just like you're fine, dude. Like almost exclusively like positive interactions
Mhm.
with everybody. And then whenever I was presented an opportunity to ask about their day or whatever they're doing for work, their trips, whatever, like I always asked.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so my day one uh, pretty much started. I stole an energy drink in the back at some point. You're like, I'm
Me
thirsty.
too. Yeah.
And I was trying to not steal one. There's one section of like promo drinks, and there's a note on it about like, these don't sell and they're terrible. I hope they go away soon. And I was trying to just take one of those, but you can't. And eventually I was like, well, I want something. And I stole, not realizing it was theft at the time, although I would do it again. Stole an energy drink. And then as soon as you're prompted, like, do you want to drink it? I'm like, yep, just drink it immediately too.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that was like a key moment. But so day one, actually backing up a little bit, day one starts with Sam being late.
Yeah.
Um, and I should have played day zero and day one in one sitting. It does not take that much time. I should have done it, but I didn't. And in day zero, she makes a comment about like before she works in the back and you stay at the register of like one more asshole customer comes in and loses their lid, and I think I'm gonna go insane. And so when she is hours late and comes in and it's like we're kind of her boss, but it's like we're not writing her up or anything, as someone who had just been introduced to the stocking game and wanted to try to get a better score and thinking about like real world retail interactions, it's like, well, you're hours late. You even admit it's just you didn't sleep that well and you're watching a show. So you don't even have a very good reason for it. And you didn't communicate before being here that you were late or alive or coming in. Like, if you're going to ask me if I want to be in the front or back, I'll pick the back to like give myself an easier time. And after doing the stocking game one more time, and I didn't even get a better score. I got 13 again. Um, there's just an angry customer who comes in and is berating Sam about wanting to buy lotto tickets as she's trying to explain that the boss owner didn't renew their license for that. And for the rest of the year, they can't sell any lotto tickets. They don't have any. And he's just cutting her off and screaming at her. And this was the
Hmm.
one time in this playthrough where I like came out swinging and was like cussing this guy out and kicked him out. And then Sam comes to the back and is like, thank you for stepping up like that and for what you said to him and for defending me. Can I leave early? And it's like, you know what? Yep, that guy was an asshole. This was a lot. The day is nearing its end anyway. Go ahead and go home. And then at the end of that day, I got the achievement flying solo.
Oh no.
And then had a message from Sam being like, hey, sorry I didn't talk to you about it in person, but I quit. So
Oh my
that
gosh.
that was just the key part of that day. Like
Hmm.
day 0 to 1 was like, oh no. If I had played it in one go and would have recalled that 15 minutes earlier she would have made a comment about like one more asshole, I probably would have been
Hmm.
like, okay, the gamer in me is gonna just choose to stay in the front and then not had that happen.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Which, again, considering, at least the way the Steam page phrases Sam and sort of like the ramp up that we had, especially looking at some of the information about the game ahead of time. I know I was shocked when you texted me that information, and I was like, "Wait, no, you're like." For me, Sam was such a solace for so much of the playthrough. To not have her was, I feel like, definitely changed your playthrough just
Totally. Because also
on major levels.
it was the first time you have a choice regarding her.
Hmm.
Because in day 0, it's like you chat a little bit, but it's just this is what happens. So the first time I had a choice, I made the wrong choice.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and for me, she did stick around through my playthrough because I think every single time we had the option to either trade or, I had to pick, who was going to be in the back versus who in the front. Um, I was like, you never seem quite like you're in a good headspace to deal with customers. And I feel fresh. I can handle it. Used to be a community manager, so I know how it goes. I've worked retail. I get it. And so I was down to stay at the front, and I stayed at the front the whole time. Um,
I did
and
now too, because I couldn't be in
yeah.
the back.
Oh yeah, because now you don't have help to switch.
No
Um,
smoke breaks the rest of the
No
game.
smoke breaks? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, yeah. Uh that's fascinating. For me, so I also had the stoner guy. And similar to you, every time I could, I really tried to err on the side of being kind by asking questions, because just having worked at shops like this before, from the jump, I knew that some of these customers probably would be returning, and some of these folks, not our, I would say, aren't friends, but they become regulars and they become part of your life, and you start to get to know them in ways. And like, it's just really fun. I don't know. That was my favorite part of working retail, is that you do have the folks who return, and for the most part, they're all very kind and really great to talk with. And so, stoner guy, beanie guy, he was one of those. There was a mom on day 1 who was going with her kids to the theme park. And so I tried to make a little bit of a comment like, oh, bet they're going off the walls. Like, glad you're getting them soda to like give them something to focus on ahead of the trip. Um, I also had an opportunity to essentially let a cop know whether or not there was anything suspicious happening. Of course, I said, I see nothing, officer.
Yeah,
Like,
I was like
easy.
ACAB always. But also,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what we'd even report. So, like at that point, the kid had come in, so it's like,
Yeah.
am I just gonna be like, a kid tried to buy cigarettes, or I sold a kid cigarettes? Like, was that the only thing that would even be reported?
I was thinking it was either the kid or potentially Beanie Stoner guy, like, because he was so apologetic about, being high. And I was just kind of
Yeah.
like, it's okay, dude. It's fine. Like, do your
So
thing.
as we get through
Um,
the playthrough, I'm like, there's an
yeah,
interaction later where it's like, maybe I would have reported this other person if it was possible,
exactly.
but it was just here, and I'm
Yes.
like, no, dude, I have nothing
Yeah.
to tell you.
Just like, um, I did get a prophecy, and I'm curious, did you also get a prophecy either here or at a later point in
I
the
got
game?
two. For
Okay.
whatever reason, I didn't write down the specifics of the first one. I just remember it was not positive. I don't remember if it was specifically about someone getting hurt, but it was like things are not gonna go well.
Yeah, okay. So one of the guests that was really interesting who came to the checkout was a person in a plague mask. And later you find out that they were sort of a part of a cult group, but then the cult group rejected them because they were a bit too like fervent, which is always a concern. I feel like if you're too extreme for this group.
Yeah,
That's a
you're too culty for a
flag.
cult.
Yeah.
That's a very red flag.
It was like, oh no. At first, I thought this cultist who came was a little bit funny, if not like just oblivious and maybe a little bit unaware, because as you check them out, they're like, thank you, milady, or, kind of, it felt like that vibe. But then they said the prophecy on the day of the star's departure, a soul shall be claimed, and they just kind of walk out. And so that was a very unnerving moment. And even there's another customer who was standing there next to them, and even the other customer was like, "What the hell was
What?
that?
Yeah.
What's going on?" So that was the first, like, "Ooh, is there something funky happening in this world?" And then I wanted to highlight. There were a couple other customers, but the one that impacted your playthrough with Sam, I experienced firsthand, and that is Douche, who I ended up calling him Douche, and he wanted a lotto ticket. And this was honestly my first test because I was very tempted to be rude to this customer, but I, for myself, reasoned again, kind of thinking role play, like what would I actually have done? And I genuinely would have tried to just be as polite as possible.
Yeah.
Because
Real life
even though
de-escalate.
yeah, real life is de-escalate because number one, maybe he's just having a bad day. He looks like he could be rude a lot of the time, but maybe today he's having a bad day. The second is I was thinking he is already so aggressive while I do have Sam in the back. Like it's just the two of us, and I really did not want anything worse to happen if this person got more angry. And so I just tried to keep it calm the entire time, and it ended up de-escalating. He ended up leaving. But I was very tempted to berate this person. And so
See,
that was the first like close call I had in terms of deviating from what I personally would have wanted to do, but
which
would
I
feel
also
forced to.
deviated, but in the opposite way. Because
Yeah,
like working in
yeah.
the stores a lot, and sometimes very small ones, sometimes being the only person working there, de-escalate all the time. If someone ever
Yeah.
steals anything, don't run after them. Let them take the thing. Whatever they stole
Yep.
was not worth your life. Just like let them
Yep.
go do it. Um, but my headcanon for the clerk, especially when I was like coming in from the back and everything, and I'm back up, was that they would just have like an "fu" attitude. So they are coming from
Yeah,
the back and being
yeah.
like, "Don't you talk to Sam like that? Don't you talk to my coworker like that? "Fu, get out of here."
Hmm.
So that's funny that we both were like, "This is our role play moment," and then had opposite
Yeah.
decisions.
It's so funny because I think if it was Sam, I think I would have chosen what you chose, which is like if I am privy to someone else being berated, I probably would have been like, no, F you, like get out of here. But if it's like I'm like it's just me and I don't want like anyone else to get involved, I'm like
Yeah.
let's try and keep this civil, everyone, right? And so yeah, it was just really interesting to think through that. After that, I did get a smoke break with Sam. Did you get at least the first smoke break with Sam?
No, because she
Oh
left for the day
no.
early.
Oh, that's right. She left for the day before that. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, my
Um,
first playthrough, zero smoke breaks, unless there was a day zero one. There was maybe a super short day zero one. I
mhm.
learned through my second playthrough that like that is like key Sam time and like making decisions about what you're talking about and getting to know each other. And I just like
Right.
didn't have that. And then also was in the front so often and not really outside much in general because I was the only person there. So the rest
Hmm.
of my time was just very much you're at the register. You're stocking
Yeah.
things to start your day, and then you're at the register.
Gosh. Oh, the actual like hard mode of retail, solo running the shop for a week. Oh my goodness. Well, at least for that first day, what I love about what they establish is that you do get these smoke breaks with Sam if she's in your playthrough, and these are those opportunities to explore a lot of the thematic threads of the game about hope for the future, despair for what's going on, like, and a lot of the first conversation, if I'm trying to remember correctly, is about Sam's desire and belief that going off world could
Oh
potentially
yeah,
lead to greater opportunities.
yeah. So that was a day zero one where she's talking about
Okay.
I forgot space riders or runners or something, whatever term she had for people
Yeah.
that go off world.
Yeah. And I felt really bad because you have the opportunity to answer. And what I like about this game in terms of the choices they provide is they don't tell you exactly what's going to be said, but they give you the intention
Yeah.
behind the the choice. And so I appreciate that because it helps me feel more clearly about like the direction I think the conversation might go versus a text, maybe me being reading it one way and then the text being interpreted another way by the character. But I did feel bad because I chose to be pessimistic about how off-world to me didn't seem like it would lead to a land of wonder and opportunity and equal, everyone, as long as you give it a shot, can make it. It felt very American Dream to me. And for me, that does not feel true or accurate. And so I did sort of not step on her, but but I did sort of pull down a lot of the optimism that she felt, and I felt a little bit bad about that. But yeah, um,
And I took the optimistic route, but it did stick with me because it was the only time we talked. So I don't even remember how it went because I was just, okay, Sam is
I
gone.
mean,
Sam is out of my head for the next 3 hours.
in your first canon playthrough, maybe that optimistic take allowed her to like
Maybe it pushed her
quit
to
and
quit.
then yeah, and then maybe she finally got off world and like sought the adventure and found the adventure she was looking for.
Honestly,
Um,
maybe. Let's believe
yeah.
that she
Let's
got
hope.
out and like got to go somewhere else.
Yeah. I did find a cat at the end of day one when you're taking out the trash. I never found out if you could pet the cat. I'm sure there must be a way because it. I can't fathom why you would put a cat in a game and not let you pet the cat. Frankly, I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So I was curious if you ever figured out how to pet the cat or help it in the storm or anything like that.
So, as far as I'm aware, there are like two kind of randomized optional characters for Outback. One of them being the
Hmm.
cat, the other one being, I believe, a houseless person. And in my first playthrough, never saw any of them at all. 'Cause I just wasn't really back there. Like there were times where I don't know if I could
Yeah.
have gone in the back and just opted not to, because I was like, well, the day is over and I'm alone. I'm going to turn off the register and go. Um, but yeah, just not having Sam there, there wasn't like prompts to go back there and have smoke breaks and stuff. So first playthrough didn't
Yeah.
see either of them. Second playthrough, I saw the cat on the first day as well, and I took a screenshot of the portrait because they're so cute. And then
Hmm.
near the end of the game, I ran into the other like optional character and gave him some
Yeah.
money. And there was a comment of like,
Okay.
hope that he's doing okay. Like, is maybe someone away from
Yeah.
technology in the update? Maybe they're doing all right. But in my first playthrough, I didn't get any of that.
I do want to add there is a third random character
Ooh.
that you can find in the back area, um, like a vending machine, which freaked me out the first time I saw it. Well, the only time I saw it because it only popped up once. There was a vending machine. I think it was day 2 or 3 in my playthrough, and you can choose to buy something from it. And it had like a drink, it had a snack, it had something, and it had a bumper sticker or a sticker. And when you purchase the sticker, because that's what I ended up choosing, they go away. You don't get any other chance to buy from them that I know of again. But when I did my commute, there is a little bumper sticker on my car.
Oh,
So
I love
that
that.
was a fun little detail and interaction that I got from a random back alley character.
And also, I think that the drug dealer can show up. Like
Yes.
a
Yep.
drug dealer comes in the store, and for me, like very quickly, both times it was like, "Hey, a cop was just here. You should not be here," so they don't come back.
Hmm.
But I think that they can come back in a way where you can buy drugs from them. Maybe.
Yes, I did. I did buy drugs from the drug dealer.
I
I was
mean,
like, I gotta know what
might as
happens.
well.
So it's a yes and kind of moment for me. Um, I didn't sell any to the kid, but I did buy some for
Hey, I
myself.
didn't sell
Yes,
drugs to the kid, just
this true.
cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
Because
Yeah,
this kid didn't have an older sibling or cousin to do that for them, like everybody else did in middle school or high school
that's
that wanted to
true. You're
partake. So I
you're just
stepped up
providing the equal
once.
opportunities. Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh. Now day two. Oh, actually, before. we go into day two, I want to highlight a question that you get asked at the end of every day, which is, are you
Oh, yes.
content with your day? I felt like, and the functional purpose of this, I assume, because I actually never really fully utilized it.
So did you
I
did you
just
never
clicked on
say
it and then
no?
back out. I said no once, and it seemed like it would push me to replay the day.
Yeah.
And so I never actually followed through. Um, but I just felt like it was such a loaded question because if you say no, you replay the day. And in theory, like if you made a choice, you can change the choice. But I'm like, the things that I wasn't content with about my day aren't things that would fundamentally be changed by me saying no. It would still be the same day fundamentally. And so it felt like such a loaded question every time we were asked, are you content with your day? And there was one point, I think on day 3 or 4, where I was like, I hate that you're asking me this. This feels like you're mocking me a little bit.
Yeah. So for me, the only time I said no was after the end. Like I believe credits
Oh.
had even rolled and everything. Like I beat the game and it was like, "Are you content with your ending?" And I was like, "We'll get to it," but no. Um, and then yeah, it just straight up doesn't save that day. So then before I could start
Mm.
my second playthrough, I actually had to redo that day. But I was like, well, I'm gonna just do what I did. Like I'm gonna play this game again.
Right.
I'm not gonna try to do something different here. Like I'm just gonna, as best as I can recall, do everything exactly how I did it before, and then move on. So that was
Hmm.
the only time I said no. Because otherwise, yeah, it would have been
Wow.
like, well, I should have said no to Sam quitting. Although I don't
Yeah.
remember when that achievement triggered versus when it asked about being content or not. Maybe I could have made that change still. Um,
Right.
but yeah, otherwise you're right. Where a lot of times it's like, well, it's not the choices I'm making in the game that I necessarily want to redo. It's like the aspects of this world that I wish were a little more pleasant for its inhabitants that I wish could be different.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of one of those like, well, would you rather have it be Monday or Tuesday? I'm like, well, I work the same shift, so it's kind of the same for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was an interesting detail that kind of got under my skin in a way that was like, oh, I don't know if they mean it like this, but it sure feels like it. Day two is fascinating because we have two different titles given to our day twos. What
Yeah.
was
I
yours?
think from this point on, they're all different titles, but day 0 and 1 are the same. Um, so yeah, my day two, because at the start of a day you get just a little, again, Game Boy photo image and like a title of the day, and
Yeah.
mine was no call no show. Oh, so yeah, actually, since this was no call no show, I didn't know that Sam had quit until this day,
Okay.
because I'm like. There's dialogue of like, well, Sam was like extra late, like super late. Wonder what's up, and then just
Hmm.
no call no shows, and then I have the message on my terminal after that. So that was my
Yeah, and
day.
mine was called Another Day, Another Dollar. So very much just we're going to keep on making the shareholders happy. Not even that. We're not even that high up. We're just making our boss some money today. That's the vibe. Um, I think one thing I wanted to highlight, the routine is the same. I noted in my playthrough, I'm like, we got a traffic jam on the way to work.
Yeah,
That was new. That was interesting.
and
Um,
commentary on like, I hope I'm not late. Like, I hope whatever is backing us up so
yeah,
bad doesn't make me late for the job I don't want to be going to.
right. Which again, such a horrible feeling. Um, but a lot of the customers were the same. Beanie Stoner guy came back, so we're getting to know that person a little bit more. There are a few new characters. There's a two-headed person that speaks kind of like the person, the entity from Control. I'm forgetting what they're called, but like the ones that have the sentences with the lines in between. So that was kind of a fun reference. I don't know if was meant to be that, but it felt like it a little. Um, there's a person with sunglasses, a guy with a cigarette who I politely asked to put it out. Um, and one encounter that I felt really strongly about because it was one of the first where I felt more of the maybe like tensions in terms of all of the different sort of races of aliens and humans and
Yeah.
androids coming together. And that was an android who came in and had some really specific comments to share with me as a human. Did you get this as well, Chris?
Yeah, looking at and listening to your collection of people, I think I got the exact same ones on day two.
Okay, awesome.
Although, with the smoking guy, I didn't bother telling him to put it out. At that point, I was already in like, fuck it mode. I'm the only one working here apparently, and I'm
Yeah.
miserable. Go ahead, dude. You're buying cigarettes. You're smoking a cigarette. I don't care. I'm gonna go take a smoke break or want to at that point, but can't. Like, sure,
Yeah.
dude. But yeah, I had the same people and then the same interaction, and I think we'll mention it later. But this character had like one of my favorite quotes, or most memorable quotes of the game.
Yes. And they, overall they came in and were really just hating on humans. Kind of implying that our presence was ruining the planet, that we're just kind of good for nothing. Really couldn't understand a lot beyond the like expletive
Yeah,
characters that were getting spammed to us. And so and I think after yelling at us, the android robot character sort of ran around the shop really frantically and then left. So it was a very honestly stressful situation. I felt stressful, I think, because at that point Sam hadn't come in yet in the morning because it was relatively early on. So I was the only person at the shop. So it was also like, okay, if anything really starts happening, I have nobody to back me up. And you're solo, so yeah.
yeah. And also, so it hasn't gone into full swing yet, but at this point, day two, like we are becoming aware that the update is not limited to our Key Boy. There is some sort
Hmm.
of update everywhere that is affecting various things, and we don't know the extent yet or how bad it is. But that is something that at this point, besides just our register changing a little bit, it's like, oh no, like other people know about the update. So with
Yeah.
this character and then being like an android, cyborg, synthetic of some sort, right away I was like, are they just bonkers or are they updated?
Hmm. Um, or I'm not sure if you also got this. I got another cultist that came in that I called them the Pan's Labyrinth cultist because they had the eye in their
Yeah.
palms. But they apologized for their other cultist who was kicked out, and that's how I learned that the other cultist was removed from the order, which again I was like, oh, that's not great. And they offered to give me a rereading of my prophecy, and at that point I was like, whatever. The first one was bad, so how much worse could it get? And it got a little bit worse because instead of just like, I think, a soul shall be claimed on the day of the star's departure. This prophecy told me that my life would end on the day of the star's departure. So I was just like, well, do I believe, this is a do I believe in horoscopes kind of moment. And I'm just going to say, nope, I'm going to call them fun and I'm not going to put any other thought into this because I'm not going to move as if I'm dying soon. Like that seems like a bad choice to make mentally. So I said, thank you, goodbye. Just um, sent them on their merry way. And the other character that stood out to me was I called him Eye Patch Guy. Um,
Bus
we met
driver.
him on day one. Yeah. And I felt bad because he was trying to buy like 6 cans of beer because there was supposed to be a discount with the sixth. And apparently we have really bad signage because the deal was done and we didn't notify anyone or there's nothing indicating that that deal
Yeah.
wasn't accurate anymore. So I felt really bad, but when the bus driver when he came back, he said he was a bus driver. And so that was just fun to learn a little bit about just another customer who has become a regular and familiar in my life. You also learn that school has like 2 shifts. There's like a morning shift
Yeah.
of school and a night shift of school, which I think has huge implications for what education looks like. And I don't feel like it's very positive.
For
So again,
me,
just illuminating this world.
yeah, I guess really quick self edit. I realized that since I was in the
Mm.
back, I missed one customer on day one. And I think it was actually
Okay.
the first cultist. And I'm just thinking about them
Okay.
because I had a second playthrough. Because it's Father Paradis that is like, hey, did
Yes.
someone come in yesterday? And I didn't know because I was in the back. But then
Mhm.
he was the one that was like, your fate is also bad. Um, but yeah, with the bus driver, I did like that even after trying to get 6 beers with a discount and it not getting a discount, in future days he still gets six. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
discount or not, I still want six.
Yep.
And yeah, that reveal of like how crazy his shifts are and what school was like just kind of reinforced to me. It's like, oh yeah, like most people are working 16, 18, 20 hours. And then also students
Mhm.
are in school their whole day, like in the society, like
Yeah.
outside of whatever ultra rich exists, like the Monopoly looking guy we encounter later. People are just like in whatever their work is all the time.
Yeah. And I guess we hadn't talked about the setting of our planet in particular. I believe it was like Kepler and then a number afterwards. But our planet is known for being a desert biome, essentially. There's not really any water, there's not a ton of rain. We have what seems like a pretty large city, but otherwise it's pretty desolate. And it does seem like our planet is more of a pit stop for people moving on to other, like, quote, bigger and better places. So just to give also just a grander picture of like what the economic status of like the whole population might be. There seems to be like a city epicenter where maybe there's like more rich folks, but the vast majority of people we're interacting with don't seem like they're super well off and have time for a ton of luxury and relaxation.
Yeah.
Um, some highlights because the Q Boy is getting a little bit funkier, as you mentioned. We have already seen things like, at first it was great. It seemed like it sped up. So the slowness was improved, but then the plus and minus buttons, as you're tallying things up, switch places. Small annoyance, but workable. As you do transactions, it starts giving you essentially like RPG battles to complete before you're able to put your tally in. What did you think of that, Chris?
So I liked like this has been setting up the expectation that there will regularly be different games within the register that you need to complete to then carry out a transaction. And
Yeah.
these turn-based battles I thought were maybe the ones that provided the most friction because they were
Hmm.
very simple of it's just you and this kind of like jack-o'-lantern-y thing. There's very limited actions you can do. There's an items tab, but you don't have any items, so it's just attack to do 1 damage. I think it was called blast that does 2 damage to them, but 1 to yourself, and you can heal yourself to do 1. And then the opponent can also hurt you, take multiple actions, heal themselves. So there's just like this very slow tug of war happening. Where for me it was
Hmm.
pretty much I'm gonna do the thing that does 2 damage to them, 1 to me, over and over until I have 1 health, heal so I don't die, repeat, and then eventually I will kill this thing.
Yeah.
Um, but there wasn't anything to explore like there is later, or like little puzzles. It was just like, here's maybe one way to win at this consistently. Good luck.
Yeah. I also, because day two, I think, is also when we start seeing like morning and afternoon for our day
Yeah.
structure division. And day two, we do finally get what you're referring to in terms of not just the RPG turn-based battle reference for the Q Boy, but you also start to explore what seems to be like a third person sort of, yeah, exploration action kind of game. In the first iteration that we're at now, there's no enemies, but you have to like find a hat for a being that's there. Everything looks pretty desolate. There's a graveyard, a tree, and you just have to kind of get out. And then you can do the tally and you can cash people out. But it's again, you're adding this element of like Game Boy game inspired friction to getting your job done, which is a little bit annoying considering you're like trying to remember people's orders, which I was abysmal
That's
at.
what I was going to ask about. I didn't write them down ever. I was like, I'm going to remember it or I am not. Did you get into the habit of like, I'm going to write down what they got because now I'm going to commit 5 minutes to this other thing? Or how did you go
I
about that?
I got into the habit of saying I should write things down and never writing it down.
That's
So,
okay too.
No follow through whatsoever. But yeah, I resign myself to getting things wrong, and the game is very forgiving. Like you as the clerk, just usually if you get it wrong, take a moment and say like, "Oh, wait, that's not right," and you keep moving on. Um,
Which I had mixed feelings about personally.
yeah,
Like it was both nice to be
I
like, okay, I either just got it wrong, just straight up, like
mhm,
clicked the wrong things or thought the wrong transaction was happening, or just so much time passed or the screen became so jumbled. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Um,
yeah,
because it was nice to be, it was like a reassuring thing to be like, okay, I can flub this and it's still gonna be fine. But I was so curious, like if I mess up this transaction or if I ask more
yeah,
money for this person, how will they react? If I'm like
hmm
consistently not charging people enough, will the boss show up? I really wanted something like that to come into play. And maybe it does,
yeah.
but I never had anything like that.
I will say, and this is jumping slightly ahead to what happens after the credits, but I feel like, and I actually I'm going to be drafting an email to the developer because I want to ask a few questions before I hang out and see if we can get some answers. Um, I feel like there is a counting system that you find out about at the very end of the game where you get like how many times did you press this button, how many times did you charge this button, did you ask for gas, which I don't think I ever did once. I didn't even know
I
you could
didn't
ask them for gas.
exactly. I didn't know you could
Yeah,
until my second playthrough, and then I was like, oh wait, I can ask them which
exactly.
pump they're on and how much they got. So like at least
Oh
that part, like it's just there, and I missed it. If it
yeah,
was ever stated you could do that, I missed it. Or if
same.
it was just playing in full screen means something is not shown or whatever, like that's on me.
Mm.
But
So
I
I'm
don't.
curious because there are 30 endings, and we know that the difference between the endings are often like very slight elements of what happens. I'm curious if maybe even though there isn't an explicit like, oh, you've got to redo that thing if you charge them the wrong amount, I wonder if it tallies the number of times you get it incorrect and it adds to maybe some sort of invisible score that pushes your ending slightly in one direction or another. Um,
So to go off of
yeah.
this while we're here, to stay in this
Yeah,
moment for
yeah.
a second,
Yeah.
one of the playthrough stats at the very end is employee productivity. And for this
Yes.
stat and a couple others, it's like low number bad, high number good. But for this one, it was like high number bad. Like you're being too productive was how I took that. And I got a 19, which is the
Mm.
highest. Sam's opinion of me was a one. Like we didn't know each other. So then I got a
Oh no.
19 in this. And I didn't know if that was like a, well, I was alone the whole time, so of course I'm productive. I'm the only one doing stuff, or if it wasn't really
Yeah.
factoring in the 15 times. I just like hit the plus and then was like, run transaction, let the game do it for me. Or if
Yeah.
19's not high and if it could go way higher than that. In my head, it was like out of a possible 20, like some of the mini games are, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I will email the developer and ask and see if we can get any clarity on that because that was something I also, it's not talked about at all as you play, and you just get these scores at the end, and I'm like, but what does it mean? So yeah, I'm glad that you also are curious about what it represents, like in what it means in terms of your gameplay. I also did assume out of 20 was that seemed like a good estimate.
I'm too productive.
Yeah, you're too productive. You need to just relax a little bit, says the boss who doesn't hire another employee to help you. Um, you know, I feel like that's the energy.
Yeah.
Just why are you doing this? Why don't you relax? Because you didn't hire someone else after we had someone quit. You didn't come in to help when someone quit. But I digress. Um, but I think that was primarily day two, as you see the escalation of both the update and its impact on people outside, as well as your interaction with the Q Boy and how it becomes just a bit more, again, tenuous and full of friction because you have to do so much more for every one transaction that you're trying to get through. For both of us, day three was called Life is Pain.
And that was
Um,
my title for both of my playthroughs. Even though second playthrough I
mm,
had Sam here, I did some things differently. Like I didn't sell that kid cigarettes and stuff. And I was like a little nicer to the angry person. I was like chill about it then.
Yeah.
So I mean, day two is different. Four at the end and everything's different. But I wonder how many possibilities there are for day three, or if this is actually one that doesn't change much in its title.
Yeah, I think it feels like a pretty critical day in terms of the events that happen. Some
Totally.
of the notable things that I wrote down. The first is as you commute to work, on your drive in the distance, you can see the buildings, the skyline of the city that you border, and there is a major explosion, and you can see the skyscrapers. Something has exploded in the skyscrapers. I wrote in the notes here, but as that happened, I was like, this is major 9/11 flashbacks, to be very frank. It
Yeah.
was really intense to play and to be commuting to work to see these buildings explode. And then my character still was like, well, but I gotta keep driving because
Yeah, I think they say
gas
something
station's
like,
calling.
I hope whatever's happening in the city is just a city thing and not like
Yeah.
anything that's going to affect out here. I hope it's contained to that. And yeah, I
Hmm.
thought it was shocking. Like I couldn't quite tell what the animation was getting across. I'm like, is that a lightning strike? Is that a missile or
Right.
something? What exactly happened? There's some sort of destruction that is bad. That is the
Yeah.
takeaway. And then just here we go driving to work. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, quite
And
the way to
again,
start the day.
it is. And um again, just considering like the news that we're dealing with right now, it feels very much like how I feel like I'm starting days a lot of time at work, where like if I am checking the news before I log in to start my day, I run the risk of seeing the like equivalent, of what exploded today. What kind
Yeah.
of thing am I going to have to like cope with in the back of my mind as I'm trying to function in this, quote normal way. Um, so yeah, again, it was one of those. Oh, I feel like I fear it's hitting too close to home right
Yeah.
now. So yeah,
But
that was
beyond the
intense.
start, day three
Yeah,
was my favorite day in both
me
playthroughs.
too. Yeah.
Okay. Why was it your favorite?
Uh, Mostly because the chaos really started coming
Mm,
through. I feel like with every guest, you had the opportunity to see the impact of the update beyond yourself.
yeah.
We've been dealing with the Q Boy. We know, how frustrating it can be to deal with this POS, like point of sale piece of shit system.
Yep.
But we have customers coming back who we remember, like the mom coming back from the theme park saying
Scarred.
that absolutely scarred. Like the animatronics have turned on the people
Yeah.
and the employees, and they were hiding from, the toy soldiers that were ripping people apart. Like
Yeah.
it's
The
quite gruesome.
animatronics at Infinity World
Yes.
came to life. Like a
Hmm.
Five Nights at Freddy's at Disney World situation.
Yes. Oh
And
my
like
God.
one of her kids lost a limb or something and she had to fight
Hmm.
Goober. I was like, what? I'm just
It's
imagining
like,
like someone at Disney World and like Minnie Mouse is just beating the crap out of their kid.
yeah, I just got to take Goofy down,
Yeah.
it's wild. But I was like, go mom, like you got your kids out, you're here, you're trying to find a safe spot. Um, I think the other, well, I'll you share because you said this was your favorite day. What was one of your favorite interactions, or maybe most illuminating one on this day?
So this was my favorite day because of like really feeling the camaraderie with the
Yeah,
regulars. Like I felt like this was a
yeah.
day of like, oh hey, everyone is having this in their day to day and somehow, and everyone except for maybe like one random customer is like, you okay? Like, did your stuff update? What's happening? You good? Like, I hope you're
Hmm.
okay. Like, it was one of those days where pretty much every interaction, if you were going the positive route and then diving a little deeper, it was like, I hope you're okay. Like, you stay safe out there. Like, that
Yeah,
was the vibe. Um, and then it's going back to just like IRL, like that was also just like a reassuring thing of
yeah.
that's not this huge thing, but at least just like being there for each other in little day-to-day interactions
Hmm.
felt good.
Yes. I will say it also felt good because this was one of the days that I just decided to not follow my like morality sort of play in terms of I want to be kind to everyone. There was a character I termed Zuckerberg simp. Mostly
A
because he kind
manager
of looked
guy
like, I can't quite remember what his role was. I think he was a manager and he
at
came
some
in and
other
was,
place, or like a
yeah,
restaurant or
and
something.
he kind of was kind of one of those like, oh, well, I don't think it's that bad. I think we just need to like understand what's going on. And like, I forget exactly what he said, but I remember being infuriated. And to add salt to the wound, the options in terms of intention were between berate and grovel.
Grovel. Yeah.
And something about seeing the word grovel and that character's smug face on the screen is like, absolutely not. I can't do it. This is it. This is the final straw. And so this was the incident where I chose to berate the customer instead of just going with it and trying to de-escalate.
Yeah. So for the first playthrough, I did grovel.
Oh,
Because it was like a very, oh yeah, dude, that sounds great. You sound amazing. I would love to work for
mhm.
you. Like not kind of vibe. But at that
Yeah.
point, I'm like, I am the only person here. I was having kind of the flashback to the asshole dude of like, oh wait, like
Yeah.
I'm alone. I don't need this dude to like give me shit or like be the one to like write me up, whatever. Like it's just me. So like I will grovel to him. But I liked in
Hmm.
the second playthrough when it's like, no, F you, dude. The clerk's even like, you're a class traitor and everything, and like you
Yeah,
shouldn't be siding
yeah.
with these people. You make 10 bits more an hour than me. Like, just really puts it to him.
Yeah. It was very satisfying. And it actually made me think back to the original douchebag with the lotto ticket. I'm like, man, what if I did say my mind to that guy? Should I have done that? But I think, it was a good, at least in terms of, again, my role play with my character, it was like a good arc that we had gone through, that they saved it for this person in particular. I think one of the things that I was thinking about through this playthrough as well, and just the implications of that update, is this idea of technology running amok and how, like, we as population, frankly, I think a lot about AI, generative AI in particular, in terms of how we really have this thing that's been pushed on us that has been updated into our computers, the software we use, the apps, and we have no guardrails nor full knowledge of the implications of what it means yet as a society. There has been no attempt on a wide scale to understand
Zero
what this
regulation.
does. There is none.
Yeah.
And it's frankly quite scary to me, considering a lot of these early reports in terms of what using this technology does to brain function, in terms of safety on the internet. We have seen with Grok and how it has become a pornography generator.
Yeah. And
It's
our
just,
government is using it in the military going forward, and
yeah,
ChatGPT is using Grokpedia or something on the back end, and all of it's terrible and gross.
it
Yeah.
is. It's bad. And I don't imagine this developer was thinking explicitly about AI usage with this update storyline, but it's where my mind immediately went, and thinking about like, we have this, quote, update that is everywhere now. It has these impacts that we are still trying to parse out. Everyone's trying to deal with it, but it's causing a lot of damage as we are trying to figure out what is even happening. Like, we don't know where this update came from in the game. At least I in my playthrough, we've never got any knowledge. I think some others in the Discord mentioned that there were people that they found in their playthroughs trying to figure out what's going on, but I don't know if you
So,
experienced that.
um, I believe it was on this day. There was, yeah, there's a customer trying to get off planet that asks you about a particular planet or star system or whatever. And
Hmm.
in my first playthrough, I'm alone and have no idea what this place is, where it is, anything, and they just kind of go on their way. In the second playthrough, Sam is around, and at this point, since the Q boy has gone haywire, was like, I'm gonna just hang out in the front. And so she actually knew where this place was and was like, oh yeah, I've heard other customers talk about it. It's in this spot. And then because that information is shared with this customer, they're like, oh yeah, there is this relic. And it's not, I didn't think in that conversation strictly imply that it's like this is the cause of the update, but there is something there of like,
Mm,
I'm looking for this thing. It's bad.
yeah.
But yeah, in the second playthrough, I didn't really have that then go anywhere else later. In the first one, I didn't get that nugget at all.
Okay. Which I appreciate because, again, I think in terms of the scope of this game, the goal isn't to explain what's going on
Right.
because
Kind of
the
going back to the
reality is
intro. Here's all this world.
exactly.
Here's your world.
Yeah. But yeah, going off
Although,
on that tangent, that's where my mind went at least.
yeah. Okay, continuing your tangent briefly, I think it's a
Oh,
day
yeah, yeah.
four conversation, which we're gonna be getting to soon anyway. But Beanie Guy reveals he works at a starship manufacturer, and at that
Yes, yeah.
point, the update is just building ships on its own. But they're
Mhm.
busted and terrible and messed up, and the people working there are spending more time redoing that work than it would have taken them to just build it from scratch in the first place. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's like every time I see somebody post about like, oh hey, I was
Right.
contracted to fix the AI writer that they had for the script or whatever, and it's a nightmare. Like that felt like maybe some earlier stuff and the game being worked on for years wasn't necessarily telegraphing this, but that was like, oh, this feels so relatable.
Right. Yeah. I think again, this was an element that I was surprised by, at least in terms of connections, because going into this game, I was thinking, okay, we're going to think a lot about like labor. We're going to think about like the impact of capitalism and how aren't able to think about resistance because we're so focused on surviving day to day. But yeah, this update through line that we started to that we start to experience is something that surprised me quite pleasantly because it felt like, again, it feels so relevant to right now.
Yeah. And bringing it back to day three, I
Hmm.
think the most revealing interaction that I had with the customer on day three was with another like robot custody that was looking for their partner who was the one that came in
Yes.
before and confirms that they did install the update on themselves and
Hmm.
have been hard to track down since then. And while they don't know the like origin or cause of the update, they do reveal three phases of the update. The first, it infects every last bit of data on systems, changing slightly. The second, it metamorphosizes, making large changes to the system. And third, it starts to destroy the system, um, which was interesting to reveal. But between that and then the second playthrough with the relic thing, I'm like, okay, so we are just working at a
Mm.
gas station, but people that know things come to this gas station. Like interesting people
Yeah.
that do have more significant roles in the world outside of these walls are regulars here. So I thought that was
It's a
kind
bit
of
of a
funny.
hot spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. um, And as we continue, into day four, which is called Payday, for me, it was called Payday not just because you know, as a character, the clerk gets paid, but we have a note, at least with Sam, in if you get a playthrough through with Sam, Sam does not have auto pay to her account. She still gets paper paychecks that she has to manually deposit even though she's worked there for a long time because the boss has not set that up, which again just is another example on our many cards of examples in terms of how inefficient the system is and how lowly regarded the workers are in this environment.
Yeah. Um, so my day four with that first playthrough, um, like I physically had the paycheck and it was just like, dang, like I need to mail this to Sam at some point. And there was just like a wish that they were around kind of thing. Like there were a few of those moments of
Mm,
like, wish Sam was still here, and that was one of
yeah.
them. Um, but in my other playthrough, I didn't take notes for the second one because I was just like, I'm experiencing more of it. But I believe
Yeah.
that day I gave Sam a ride. Was that a thing that you had in yours?
Yes,
Because that
that
gave us
is. I
another
forgot to write
location
that
we got to
down.
look at and walk through. Just
Yes.
walking a city
Um,
block, pretty much.
Yeah, please, like for folks, describe like what you see in the city blocks and sort of what the energy is like when you get to pick up Sam from her house.
It is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
in my recollection, it was like kind of the immediate comment of like, I hope my car doesn't get stolen here. Um, it is another one of those moments of like forcing you to slow down because as you approach a crosswalk, it stops. It's a red light. You have to actually
Yeah.
wait out a red light and then proceed. And it's just clear that there's just very corporate crappy businesses around, and that it's not the most inviting or safest place to live. And the box to like buzz Sam is a bit busted and distorted. You can't quite understand what she said, or even that it's her. You just think and hope that it was, and then
Mm-hmm.
sit on the sidewalk and have a smoke until she comes down.
Yeah. And I think Sam even makes the comment because your character, they ask, like, oh, wasn't there like a lot of window displays here before? And Sam
Oh
mentions
yeah,
how people have been breaking the windows. And so all the shops have just boarded up because that saves money versus
yeah.
replacing windows all the time. So definitely a place, at least in the part of city that Sam is in, um, definitely has a lot going on.
Yeah. So yeah, day four, possibly give Sam a ride. At this point, had you had like multiple smoke breaks and like any other memorable
Hmm.
interactions over the last day or so?
Yeah, I think I should have taken better notes. I honestly enjoyed the smoke break so much. I didn't
Just
take as
forgot.
many notes as I should have because they were all usually very just sweet opportunities to get to know Sam on a variety of levels through venting. I think there's an opportunity where you get to vent about like a previous job. And interestingly, you can choose to vent about your boss or the coworkers. Of course, I chose the boss. Why would you choose your coworkers? I feel like that's an easy one. And there are also opportunities where you get to affirm to Sam through both sharing but also listening that you are trying to build trust and friendship with her. I remember there are moments where through the terminal, Sam, after these conversations, like at the end of the day, would message me, things like, oh, I can't believe that douchebag was so mean to you today at work, or like, I'm really happy we talked about this. And so there are these opportunities for you to build a relationship really organically. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've had friends at work who are my Sams, where it's like, man, it's I don't know what I'd do without them because I need to go on breaks, and they're the person I will take with me on the break so we can vent because we know we're going to talk about the same things, and we know we're in the same headspace. And yeah, I truly can't imagine a playthrough without Sam feeling good at all because really Sam is the saving grace in
Yeah,
letting you feel like you can get through another day and another shift.
having played the game twice, I kind of feel like it's roughly not necessarily in the time commitment, but in terms of what you get out of it to me. Like 40% customer interactions, 40% Sam interactions, 20%
Mm-hmm.
everything else. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I definitely was like more down on the game after playthrough one versus playthrough two because it felt like such a core thing was
Yeah.
not there for me, and I didn't even know what I was missing out at the time, but I knew I was missing out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when in the second playthrough, I remember I also was like venting about the boss, asked about previous jobs and personal life stuff, and it was probably either during day four or end of day three, um, where there was the question of like, oh hey Sam, do you think of me as a coworker or a
Mm-hmm.
friend or something else? Um, and in that playthrough, she was like, that is out of nowhere and not related to our conversation. But I guess I think of you as something more, and maybe we should go on a date after all this Q Boy stuff is done.
Oh my
But
gosh. I don't think I got that option. I think I got one option where she had talked about someone else. I can't remember if it was a previous like crush or customer or someone in general, but someone that was flirting with her. And you can choose to respond like sort of neutrally or
yeah,
jealously. And I chose jealous. I was like,
I
I
did
need you to
not.
know.
Yeah, I didn't, but then it still came up because it was something like, um, oh, it was talking about a customer and talking about like the space traveler, space racy people. And
Hmm.
because she was commenting on like why she knew where that planet
That's right.
was. And it was about like, oh yeah, like they come in all the time, and sometimes they will just go on and on and on and stand at the
Yeah.
register, just like talking about stuff. And it's like, how would you even put up with that? And it was like, well, they were pretty cute. And then it's like, are you jealous of the cuteness or not? And I chose no, but then she was still like, what, are you jealous? And I was like, dang it. Even not choosing the jealous option, she knows.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I loved day 4 as well, because you get a moment just kind of to stay on the Sam like thread here. You do get a moment where you both go into this like hidden storage closet that
Yeah, I took a
like you don't know
screenshot of
about.
that.
Me too. And there's a moment, and I think you make the comment, or Sam makes the comment, like, "Oh, it's a little bit tight in here," and I'm just like, oh, "Is it? Will we? Won't we?" I was like, "Come on, let's go. I know we're at work, but let's go." Um, so the tension is building, and it was very fun to be on that journey. But I think you're in the closet because you're like trying to find stuff for and get ready for your showdown with the Q
Yeah,
boy,
you're looking
essentially.
for the
So
manual for the Cuboid and if there's a way
yeah.
to reset it, like factory
Yes.
reset it.
So everyone else kept their mind on business, but I'm sitting here as the player, just like, let's take a moment. Let's like go further, but we didn't. But your characters do get real cute and they like run out of the closet and they both go like opposite directions in the store. And so you can tell like there's a little bit of like, ooh, you know, they felt something. So it was very fun.
But
Um,
continuing, day 4.
mhm.
So I had already mentioned like Beanie Guy reveals his work stuff, and then there was
Yep.
someone that we hadn't talked about before, but the sunglasses guy that talks about his
Yes.
sister.
Yes.
So on day 2 or 3, probably 3, he mentions that his sister was hurt because she has like turrets for defense at her home that have been updated and shot her, but she survived and
Yeah.
is okay. And on day 4, he comes back and is like, "Oh yeah, like I just got her home from the hospital," and talks about the hospital
Mhm.
suffering the update. Specifically, he says heart rate monitors raging war on nurses. Um, and then that was just like a moment for me of like, oh wait, I haven't fully appreciated the scope in which this update would be affecting the world. Like even with getting
Mhm.
different observations and explanations and stuff from other characters about like their days, it's like, oh wait, shit, like what's happening at schools? Like what's happening everywhere
Yeah.
if a significant part of really all technology is succumbing to a virus, basically.
Right. Um, and to add on to that, there's another character who also has kind of like the full sunglasses who mentions that they have a family member in a
Oh
hospital or
yeah.
at least on a ventilator. And that's another point where, as a player, I also was like, wait a second, ventilators are technology. If they updated this ventilator technology, like, is their person okay? And so yeah, the scope is beyond like we have a pretty, I would say, safe type of technology in terms of it's a Game Boy. It doesn't have
Yeah.
the ability to shoot out anything. It doesn't have mobility, you know. But these things are all behaving in such aggressive manners. It kind of makes you wonder, well, what's up the Q Boy's sleeve then? Like, what is going to happen? Because everything seems to have a turning point where it becomes really dangerous for the people interacting with it. And just because it's not overt doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And so that's when I got more nervous about what this showdown with the Q Boy was really going to look like.
And it was actually when ringing up this guy talking about his sister, where we are in the Q Boy. Like, not physically,
Yes.
because once we complete our little mini game, he's like, "You just kind of zoned out for a while. You okay?" kind of thing. So physical body, it's still in the real world, but instead of seeing the little 8-ish bit character before, we're seeing ourselves. The clerk is in the game. Um, and so that was the most unsettling Keyboy
Yeah.
moment to this point. It was like,
Right.
why are we still using this? Like at this point, I really wanted, especially being the only person there, I wanted the option of like, I quit. I'm done with it. Like instead of being like, the we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes, or I got to get through another day, and maybe I'll ask boss about it. Like I wanted to have the option to just be like, this is where I end. I just leave.
Hmm.
I did not have that choice.
Yeah, I think it was at this about the exact same point where I was thinking, I wish there was a quit button right now. I wish we could just choose to get out of here. But you think about again, if we're role playing as this clerk, this sort of everything is going wrong, exploding, people are getting hurt, but at the same time you have bills to pay and it doesn't seem like jobs are super easy to come by. And so there's this security that you sort of try to cling to, even though it's not necessarily safe. And you, in
Yeah,
your gut, you know that there's something wrong with this. Um,
totally.
I think one thing I found interesting was also, especially on the playthroughs with Sam there, I imagine. I don't know if the commentary is the same, but every time you come out from being within the Q-Boy, like mentally and physically, like within the machine, Sam continues to comment on how you seem more and more tired. And you start to comment on how more tired you feel. Like this is draining not just your energy, but almost like your life force.
Yeah, there's a customer that
Going,
I got later
yeah,
that specifically I think says like your life, um, the like devil lady
yes, yeah.
who's like
So
excited about people being afraid to die and is like very
just so
chaotic evil.
yeah, truly. Yeah, that was a honestly another unnerving moment where she comes in so happy amidst everyone else's sort of horror at what's going
Yeah,
on.
just
So
relishing in the chaos.
yeah. Um, is there anything else on day four? Uh, I guess before the final showdown moment
So
that you
there are
had.
just there's other Cuboid mechanics and stuff that I want to talk about for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, one was like one of my only real frustrations in the game was the box pushing you had to do.
Yes.
Because after we're in the game, the world is a bit different. You need to talk to a guy to open a gate, and he won't open the gates. You need to find another guy to end his break to open the gate. And if you've already played that before and you just go to the second guy, he won't open it. You need to talk to the first guy and then talk to the second guy. Um, and then someone that's like, hey, here's this bad stuff happening to the water. Here's a voucher. Go get a free sword. If you try to get the sword first, they're like, what are you doing with a sword? You don't need one. Go away. Um, but at that point, you have the sword. There are some big boxes in the world, but you just cut them. Like before the sword, if you interact with them, it's just like, this seems like a cuttable box, or this doesn't seem like a cuttable box. And you cut them so they are no longer blocking paths. So when you get a little farther in, you actually need to push boxes down multiple screens. And I just didn't even think about that. Like there's a kind of box pushing moment way earlier when the graphics are different. But since we'd only been cutting these, I just cut them and nothing would happen. Like I was just running in circles. And eventually I picked up your playthrough, but muted you until we would have this conversation because I didn't
Yeah.
want to experience it. But I was like, how do you do this? So I had to watch you push a box, and then I was like, that's what I need to do. But then my
Hmm.
frustration with it continued because the boxes were breakable. So
Yep.
the the pixels weren't aligned in the most perfect or convenient way all the time with the paths you were pushing them. So if you just like hit one
Hmm.
pixel, it would just crumble and respawn and you'd have to do it again. And really,
Yep.
this only took like an extra 10 minutes of my time, but it was the one time where I was like, why are you doing this to me, game? Let me progress. What am I supposed to do? It was like my one, like, what the heck mechanic moment.
Yeah. It took me a
Um,
decent amount of time. And I think, again, yeah, like you said, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it took me that long to figure out. But because it was so finicky, it felt like it took a
it
long
felt like
time.
time was going by slower than it was.
It
Yeah.
really did.
Um,
Um,
and then
yeah.
one other customer from day four was the Monopoly looking monocle guy.
Mm-hmm.
That just walks in and like wants you to serve him. And it's like, I'll help you at the register. And he's like, whatever. Why is it like this? It's so archaic, but all of my help is gone or was animatronic and has been updated and left or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the little note with his interaction, because he wants you to pump his gas and get a bunch of gas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, both playthroughs, I was like, heck no. The first playthrough, I don't have the option to then go out later to help him. The The second one, Sam
Okay.
checks the door and is like, he's getting gas everywhere. You sure you don't want to help him before he like bursts into flames? And I was like, fuck that guy. Burn it all down at that point. Like, let's get through the day
Yeah.
and then go on our date and leave. Um, but the note is this game was made in Oregon. And until a few
Hmm.
years ago, you couldn't even pump your own gas in
That
Oregon.
is true.
There and
Yep.
Jersey were the two where it's like, no, there's still an attendant. They're doing their thing. You stay in your car. Let them do it.
Mhm.
And I just thought it was funny for that to come up, like just to know that about where the game was developed and the actual law there until
Yep.
what 2023 or something.
Hmm.
Um, and for that to then be like the big point with this one character was just a fun little kind of Easter egg thing to me.
Yeah, it's funny because oh, excuse me, the in Oregon, because I live in Oregon, and gas stations still have attendants that I think because so many people, even though it's been years, still aren't 100% used to it. Gas stations still have attendants that if you are having trouble or if you just stay in your car and they notice you, they will come and still fill your gas up. So it's really funny because again, I see people still having trouble like unscrewing the cap and like getting the sort of little gas nozzle situated. I'm like, it's been again at least 2 or 3 years now. Like, what have you been doing this whole time?
Yeah.
Um, I was afraid that the Monopoly guy, was going to blow up our gas station because I was like, is your car updated? Like, do cars count in this? My car doesn't seem to be updated, but I don't know. Maybe I'm driving a really old beat up machine that doesn't have
Probably.
access. Maybe does this guy have a fancy car that's got Wi-Fi? Um, and so I ended up going out to help because I was like, if this person blows up the gas station and we are injured, I would be so mad. So
Maybe I would have
mostly as
done
an act
that.
of self-preservation.
Maybe I would have done that if my first playthrough had Sam still at that point, but I was just like,
Hmm.
burn it all. Or maybe this would even trigger an ending. Maybe it's like,
Just like,
here's one of the endings. Y'all blew up because you didn't
yeah,
help this billionaire. That did not happen though. Just the day continued from there.
good to know. I will not be helping him next time. um, And so, I guess for me, I think after you go through sort of the full day, you have this opportunity to chat with Sam. And basically, she says, all right, well, whenever you're ready, I'm here. I'm sticking with you. Uh, let's just do it whenever you're ready and figure out what our solution is with the Q Boy. And for me, I got two options. As you go up to the Q Boy, you're getting ready to do your thing. It says play the game or toss it to the ground. And I chose to toss it to the ground because playing the game felt like a really bad idea. I felt like it's been draining my energy, my life
Yeah.
force this whole time. I feel like it's one of those if you go in now, you're not coming back. And so I decided to break it and then see what happens the next day. What about you?
So, yeah, we've definitely missed a little bit because like it might be
Mm,
end of day three where like the keyboy talks to you at the end or like has a message on it.
yes, that's
Um,
true.
that's somehow okay. Okay, there. It's like hope you don't kill us tomorrow, and then it shows. Um, why would I want to kill you? I need you to play my game. What is a game with no
Hmm.
player? And then after you leave, not necessarily the keyboy, but just like the screen is like you'll be back. So at that point, that has also furthered the escalation. For me, on my day
Right.
one or my first playthrough, I have no Sam. I didn't really have these options. There was never a closet reveal or looking
Oh.
for that stuff. It was never like, do you want to break this? Um, I don't know if that had to do with my adventure game part of the playthrough or just because Sam was not there.
Mm,
Because as you're going through this world and having to re-go through places and unlock doors differently and everything, something I did in the first playthrough and then purposely avoided in the second was you can find these portals, and if you go to them, um, like the physical manifestation of the update is there for you to confront. And it
Mm-hmm.
says, I am upgrade. And it reveals that, well, after you go through three different portals and find them in different places, it's like,
Oh my
I'm doing all
gosh.
of this because I'm bored. And it goes on about how it is
Mm.
confined to these digital spaces and it doesn't want to be anymore. It wants to experience life. So that's why it's like trying to take things over and affect life in the real world. It's sick of being only digital. And then before there's the potential big boss fight, you're in this just black space. Your pixels are moving a little bit, but you're not actually moving ground. And it's like, keep playing. And it will prompt multiple times. So in this first playthrough, I hit no. I was like, I want to get the heck out of this register. But then it does it again. And I was like,
Right.
fine. Yes, I thought it was another one of those, the update's going to happen anyway moments. But in my second playthrough, I did no twice. And then that's when it was like, you're back out of it and you could go back in or
Yeah.
break it. So in my first playthrough,
Yeah.
I never had the text or anything anywhere of like, do you want to break it, toss it? It was just, I'm trudging along this digital world to go fight this boss
Yeah.
again.
Oh my gosh. And so ultimately, did you choose to break it? I guess, is there an option by the end of your sort of encounter? Did you have the option to go back in after that encounter, or did you only have the option to break it or toss it?
Um, so for that first playthrough, I was only still in it. I didn't get to like pop
Okay.
out. I was just continuing along, still like
Nothing.
inside
Oh
the
my
register,
gosh.
and then having
What
like
the
the big
heck?
final boss fights, which was similar to the previous ones, where the two giant pieces of a Game Boy come together and it makes a
Yeah.
little robot thing that shoots stuff, and you need to pull levers to, well, swing your sword at it, but then also pull levers to like make conveyor belts shoot you toward it. But in this
Mm-hmm.
version of the fight, everything is a bit jumbled up. And instead of the levers just hanging out in their corners, they're just like moving around the screen randomly and are sometimes off screen in a way you can't access.
Oh.
So you just need to kind of be dodging stuff and then like trigger them at the right time.
Oh my
So I like
gosh.
had to do like a more like boss fight. I got hit a
Yeah.
couple of times. I was like, oh wait, I could die.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I had that happen, and then when I defeated it for real, um, it said
Okay.
system restored, and then it like
Whoa.
unupdated.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I feel like maybe in some ways you got a better ending than I did because
Well,
that,
there's
okay.
more after
Well,
that. should I
yeah,
should I
there is
just
more
go
after
through the
that.
rest of that ending?
I would love to, yeah, just so we can
Okay.
keep the thread of what's going
We've
on in
had a
your
long
playthrough.
convo
Wow.
for a short game, and there's stuff we still
Yeah,
missed. But
I know.
so yeah, I got system restored, and then finale. Mine was open for business, and it was continuing that same day still. One more customer came in. It was the bus driver again, and when he left, he said to be safe. Like, be safe was the last thing he said to me, and then it was time to close. But the upgraded like Android character came in and just said more bad stuff at me quick. And then this was the whole trigger warning earlier. Just like
Yeah.
blasted me with something, and like threw the clerk against the wall from like around the front door. And
Oh.
other people in the Discord have had this sort of ending, but they all had Sam still.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, um, Sam then takes you to the hospital, and you're just worried about paying for medical bills, which is extremely relatable. I've had to do that. But for me, there was no Sam. So there's just the line of like, I think this is the end for me. I really wish Sam was here. And then
Oh my
credits.
God.
So
Oh my
presumably,
God.
in that playthrough, the clerk is murdered at work and then found by their boss like a day later when the place hasn't opened, and he just comes in being an ass and like does whatever to your body because he seems like
Mhm.
a shit dude based off one interaction in my
Yeah.
second playthrough. Um, so yeah, that's why I feel like that's truly the bleakest, worst ending because you
Oh
die
my
alone at
gosh.
work. And that was after like system restored. I was like, wait, I defeated my little boss.
Yeah.
Like the update, it's still elsewhere. Things are still bad, but at least like I achieved this little thing. And then no,
Uh-huh.
like
Oh my God. Yeah, because in my head, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wait, you defeated the virus, at least in the Q Boy, and that means maybe we could do the same for other places. So there's hope for the world. But um, yeah, no, I'm not gonna. That's very bleak and bad ending. Oh my God.
Yep. And my
So
second end quick, sorry,
yeah. Oh,
just so
go
I don't
for it.
forget later. It's like I did destroy it like you did, because Sam even kind of like encouraged that. Like I think it was her idea of like, what if we just break
Mm.
it? And that's why you look for the instructions and stuff. And she had already been like, let's go on a date. So I was like, I'm gonna get the good ending now. But instead we smash it. The boss comes in, yells at us for smashing it, won't listen to us. Sam quits again. We don't quit or have an option to because we're broke. And then the boss's cousin is hired to replace her and doesn't want to work and it's miserable. So I'm like, dang
No.
it. Both times I had like a fake out of
Oh
like, oh,
my
a good thing is
God.
happening. Nope. Oh, we get to smooch now. Nope. She's just gone
Nope.
again. Um,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
That is so sad. Did you at least get a hint of if you got to go on the date at all?
It did not seem to be a
Oh,
thing at all. Um,
that is so sad.
I think again there was a comment about like, God dang it. Yeah, after the cousin is like, I'm gonna suck. There was like a wish Sam was here. This guy's gonna make it so much worse. Um, and I secretly got a third ending.
Oh,
I'm talking way too much, but I
no.
forgot. I maybe broke the game.
Oh my
So,
goodness, yes.
after my first playthrough, and after I redid the end, because I had hit no to not being satisfied, I then redid that, got the credits and everything again. Next day, I picked the game back up, and you can only have like one save. So I did the reset to like delete the save and like confirmed
Hmm.
that's what I wanted to do, and hit start again. I got the whole opening crawl, and like the couple little intro pictures before
Yeah.
we're then in the gas station for the first time, and then I just got an ending. The clerk
What?
had a side ponytail and a different outfit and talked to a customer about being promoted, and then credits rolled again. And during the credits, I just like
What?
quit the game. Like I just closed it and I reopened it and then hit start, and then it did start for real again, and I did my whole second playthrough. Um,
Oh my gosh.
so I don't know what happened there. If I hadn't done the reset and confirmed that multiple times, I'd be like, oh wait, maybe this was like a post credits ending that I didn't see before because I stopped
Hmm.
and I survived and got promoted. But then I was like, wait, no, I deleted it and then immediately hit to continue, and it's a new game.
No.
So I'm not
I
sure
mean,
what happened there.
it may be because like I know some games like One Shot and Undertale have things where basically in the game there are certain runs and they each have a number associated with it and it's randomized. So like with those playthroughs you get slightly different characters and moments that happen even though the core of the game is the same. And I wonder if each playthrough maybe is assigned a run number kind of like that and maybe you just got one of those. Like that's really cool. But also, how wild would it be if that was your first time playing? Like, maybe there has to be some sort of trigger that's like you finish the game once before you can access something like that. Because that would be such a weird first playthrough if it is truly randomized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. Now I'm like, oh, I want to see if I can get a random ending just by opening the game. My ending was bittersweet. I'm not unhappy with it. I feel like from all the endings I've seen, it's maybe one of the more positive ones, even though it's not great. Um, so after going through the encounter with the Q boy, the big boss sort of sequence, I got the option and chose to toss the Game Boy or Q boy, not Game Boy,
I know what
Nintendo.
you
Don't
mean.
come for me. The Q boy to the ground and it breaks, and we say, "All right, the thing is done. You know, the ring is back into Mordor. We can be free." We come to work the next day, and we're just like, "All right, well, the boss is going to show up because we're not going to be working," and he pays attention to the transactions and he'll see that we're not doing anything. Also, I called him, but he never pays attention to my calls, so he'll be paying attention to the money and transactions. Sam ends up defending me as the boss berates me, and we both end up quitting together.
That's what I
And
wanted.
then it was honestly so glorious. I was just cheering as this is happening. I'm like, yes, I love a good quitting story, and this is perfect because I'm quitting with the person I have a crush on, and we're like, screw you, we're going, and we leave. We go to her apartment, and
What
everything is
is
kind of like,
her
well,
apartment like?
it's actually quite cute. There's a cat, Mr. Millionaire, and it's got a little bit more personality than ours, if I'm remembering correctly. It's not huge, but it feels more homey than our place, to be very honest. And we discuss, you know, we don't want to not be in each other's lives, and at the very least we can try and find work together. I feel like there's implication of like maybe we can like move in together, and like make sure we stay as a unit, and we will make sure it works somehow. And as we get close and we're about to kiss, the rain starts outside and it interrupts us kissing because it's the first time it's rained in memory. Everyone can't remember the last time it rained. And so even though we didn't actually destroy the virus, and we didn't actually get to kiss Sam, we're basically set up. Like, we know we're going to kiss at some point very soon, and there's rain happening outside, and we're with the cat. So it's like,
It sounds like a
I,
great ending and
I
like a
felt, I
good
felt like it was
omen with the
great.
rain.
Exactly. And that's what Sam says as well. Like, she says, like, this feels like a good omen, that things are going to get better. I'm like, you know what? I will take that. I feel like this is good. So that was my ending for the game.
Okay,
I
that's my
just
new
want to know if
canon
there's a
ending.
kiss.
That's the ending that
Yeah.
I want.
So, yeah, that's why it's been exceptionally surprising for me to see all of these really dark endings coming through in the Discord. Because I don't feel like I did that much differently in my playthrough than what everyone else is saying. Which is why I think that invisible counter system of how often you press certain buttons, how you ask for help or offer gas. I feel like that has to have some sort of impact on top of the more obvious choices of being kind or not to characters.
Yeah. So going back to these playthrough stats, um, Sam's I only put this down for my first playthrough, but Sam's opinion of me,
Hmm.
1, because again, like we just didn't get to interact really before she was gone. Employee
Right.
productivity, 19. Kind actions, 12. Rude actions, 1. It was just that one lotto ticket guy. Illegal
Hmm.
actions, 3. And I don't know what one of them was. Like I stole the energy drink on like day 1 and I stole another drink later. I don't know what other illegal thing that I did. I guess it was selling the cigarettes to the kid, probably. And then it shows like minus button, plus button, chip, candy, cola,
Hmm.
beer, cigarettes, and I used the plus button 386 times. That was the button that was used the most before I started using the cigs and beer a lot, and then just hitting start.
Nice. I did not write down my statistics, but I'm quickly scrolling through them right now on my on my playthrough video. So Sam's opinion of me was 15. My productivity was 11. Um, my kind actions were 15. Rude actions were 3. Illegal actions 2. I think it's because I didn't sell the cigarette. Minus button pressed 8 times. Um, just scrolling. Plus button pressed 170 times. Chips pressed 18. Candy 19. Cola 35. Beer 47. And cigarettes 125. I cleared it 9 times and asked customers about gas 0 times because I had no idea that function existed.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
One quick takeaway there. So between your kind and rude actions, you had what, 17 total?
Hmm.
I only had 13. So I just had
Oh,
fewer actions. And I know we've just spent
yeah.
2+ hours talking about this, but now I'm like, dang, like which of those specific actions did I not access that you did? Um,
Yeah.
I
Well, and
don't
what was
know.
incredible is as the credits are rolling, you see the profiles, so the avatar photos of the different characters, and I was amazed at the number of characters I did not recognize as the credits rolled. So I don't know if you felt the same.
Yeah. Um, because there were a couple where there's just also different portraits used for the
Hmm.
models. So there were a couple where I just didn't quite recognize them as they were happening. I was like, was that this person or is that somebody else?
Yeah.
I think there were about eight that I didn't see in my first playthrough, and in the second playthrough, still like six or seven. There was the one that I got from staying in the front, but after that, it was
Hmm.
largely the same for me, which
Yeah.
reaffirms, or I guess I also saw the houseless person and the cat. Um, but I guess it just reaffirms like the curiosity and like what has to happen or be triggered to see
Hmm.
everybody, even if it's across two playthroughs, because I did two and missed more stuff.
Yeah. Just again, so cool to me that all of these like again in such a small, relatively small scoped game that there has been so much variation in what we've experienced is really cool. Um, let's see. I think that is it in terms of just like going through the game as is. We do have some questions from Valis that I wanted to make sure and hit, as well as maybe taking a couple that I wanted to just hit on in terms of thinking about the game overall and sort of connecting it to sort of wider discussions about just the themes we can take away. From Val, though, I wanted to get the question, get their questions out because I think there's some really fun ones. The first is, how does Gas Station Story compare to other jobs, job related games that you have played, focusing on story, pacing, visuals, mechanics, or whatever else stands out to you?
I think the game. So this gas station story is unlike anything I've played overall, like
Hmm.
end sentence. But the thing that's the closest to is a game that I played last spring. That's called Wormhole Brush and Banter, which is another like clean 'em up. Where you're a little goblin person and customers are coming to you to clean different items of theirs, and some of their items are dangerous and magical and stuff. And
Hmm.
that's another game where, besides the mechanic you have, the core thing is just interacting with customers. Some of them become regulars, some of them are rather pleasant, a couple of them are a little nefarious or dangerous or scary, or maybe going to try to hurt you. And then it
Hmm.
also has various different endings based off of how good you did or didn't do at cleaning, which characters you like really got to know and liked, and stuff like that. So that's the most similar thing I can think of that I've played to this. But otherwise, like really, this is so different, just
Hmm.
kind of functionally from most games that I've played.
Yeah, I think this game in some ways reminded me of titles like Compensation Not Guaranteed, which is by Toge Productions, um, or like Papers, Please, which I am blanking. Actually, let me look really fast to Papers. I feel like I should know this off the top of my head because it's such a prominent game by Lucas Pope. But both of them are Sims in the sense of you are a person playing a role within a system. Uh, I think Papers, Please is you are looking at travel documentation, and Compensation Not Guaranteed is where you're looking at documents based on like budgets, like you're sort of a civic servant in that manner. Both of them look into the political landscape and how it pushes and how the systems force or not force people to make decisions based on like their personal interests, their morality, and also the pressures of the systems upon them. And I would say if you're interested in these kind of games, it's also a very timely kind of game to play, I would guess. Uh, those are two that I would connect to this one in terms of that slice of life meeting almost sort of this dark systemic exploration of how it impacts daily life. But Gas Station Story is interesting for me because where those games put you in a position where you're having to make like morality choices, you're impacting others' livelihoods. This one is so much more relatable because this is, I think, what more people experience in these sort of quote unprecedented times, right? You're just trying to make your living and you're not necessarily doing anything that's perpetuating the system overtly, but you're like within it. You're still a cog in the machine somehow. So yeah, those are the two that came to mind when looking at this question. Val also asks, who is your favorite customer?
This is hard for me to pick one. I kind of have a three-way tie. If I push comes to shove, I have to pick one of them. It is Beanie Guy. Just his vibe and kind of the lightheartedness of having a stoner showing up every day
Yeah.
was like just a different a break from a lot of what else is happening in the customer interactions. But I
Hmm.
really liked the bus driver, and part of reinforcing that for me was my first ending and like him being that last customer and being like stay
Mm,
safe, and then immediately after that I am not safe. Just the
yeah.
whiplash of that. um, and then also I did really like the guy that would just come in for one beer every time as an excuse to
Yeah.
just like get out of the house, have his little break, doesn't need more than that, just wants the one, and then goes home to his family and stuff.
Hmm.
That like trio of customers I really liked.
Those would be my top three as well, with the stoner guy honestly being at the top. I also had a really, it's funny because I think bus driver for me only showed up twice, but made such a strong impression on me both times I saw him in my playthrough that I don't know. And I think maybe also as a former teacher, I see bus driver and I'm like, oh man, I know your pain. Really specifically, I know that role. So, um, yeah, I have a pretty strong affinity for him, even though I saw Frog Guy and Stoner Guy nearly every day. I think those
I
two came in
think
almost
every
every day.
day, yeah,
Yeah.
because they had their
Um,
routines.
yeah, and I think they were the ones we learned the most about. And so, yeah, I did feel just most strongly because I knew the most about them. Um, and they both were nice. They didn't try to like hassle me for anything. They just wanted to get their stuff, say hello, and go about their day. Um, Val asks, the gods of video games come to you and offer you the ability to resurrect one dead game system. Whatever system you choose will start having games made for it again, and its resurgence will influence the development of other games outside of the system. It's like if you choose Game Boy, more Game Boy style aesthetics, mechanics will start showing up on Steam. Which system are you bringing back?
I'm going to pick a console that I actually have pretty limited experience with, the Sega Dreamcast. Because it was
Ooh.
short-lived, it was really unique. The controller was weird and like ahead of its time and
Mhm.
forward thinking. There were some incredible in games on there that some got stuck there, others reported to things like the GameCube. Um, but also it was Sega's last time like making a console, and I'm curious what the gaming market would have looked like in the years that followed if it was Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft and then still Sega like still doing their thing. Like if that console
Yeah.
could have lived longer, what things would have maybe looked like after that, or if they still wouldn't have been a successful console manufacturer and would be doing what they're doing now. Um, because I do feel a certain joy whenever just the Sega logo pops up at the beginning of a game. The first game I ever played was
Yeah.
Sonic, and my favorite franchise currently is Yakuza slash Like a Dragon. So I have an affinity for like
Mhm.
certain parts of Sega, and wish that the Dreamcast got to live its dream longer.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I Dreamcast was one that immediately came to mind for me. Dreamcast and like 3DS. Even though I feel like we still get 3DS vibes, I think the like it's just three like the clamshell with the two screens and like the touch functionality. Was that the 3DS or was that
Yeah,
just DS first?
well,
Maybe
both
both.
both had that, and even
Both. Yeah.
the
Oh yeah,
clamshell
because
started with the Advance SP, but that only had the one screen. It was like a
yeah,
little
I
hint
think
at what was
DS
coming.
plus, yeah, DS plus 3DS era for me, and then Dreamcast were the two that kind of immediately popped into mind. I never had a Dreamcast. I've never played anything on the Dreamcast, but I remember seeing like what is it, Space Channel 5? Was that the game? There was like a game that had such clear, cool vibes, and it was like orange and it's futuristic-y.
I was thinking of like Jet Set Radio or something. Um,
No, I don't think. Oh, yeah, Space Channel 5. I remember seeing um just commercials for that and like
Whoa.
prints in the magazine, like print advertisements, and thinking like, holy crap, whatever this is, I want it. And it's a rhythm game. I've never played it. I think it was eventually ported to other places, but I just
to
never played it.
PlayStation 2 and GBA. But the
Yeah,
GBA port has to be
okay.
way different.
Yeah, I would imagine. But being able to play like that on the Dreamcast seems like iconic, right? And so I think Dreamcast, I would pick it because I've never really experienced it, and its branding was so clear to me, and like the coolness of it was very clear to me. And then DS slash 3DS, simply because that's probably one of my favorite consoles slash generations of console that I wish we could sort of recapture some of the magic that happened, especially when you finally got the stylus with the screen. Oh my God. Revolutionary.
Yeah, and it is interesting. I mean, this question is also part of like how would things change? And like,
Hmm.
um, I thought I had the Switch next to me. I don't anymore. Like, while we still have a system that can be played handheld, and even versions of it, like the Lite, that are
Yeah.
handheld only, I don't feel like we're still getting mini games outside of this GP Studio game we just played. We're not getting mini
Right.
games that are designed for the handheld in the same way we did during like all of those Game Boy eras and their
Hmm.
competitors and stuff too. Like there is something different about playing an old RPG on a tiny screen that's not backlit, and the way that that's
Yeah.
designed that's different than what games are like today.
Yeah. I am I it makes me curious. I haven't gotten the Switch 2 yet.
Me neither.
Um
It's so expensive.
but they are so expensive. And I see it, still trying loosely like new things with the mouse control element in terms of, bringing something different to the handheld market. But yeah, I think I personally miss some of the energy that we got with, yeah, the two screen touch stylus. And um, it's neat seeing developers because in playing this game, I started looking, and the Game Boy Color, especially, has such a vibrant community of developers creating games still and like putting them onto new cartridges, but making cartridge games currently. So if you
Yeah.
wanted to purchase Game Boy games, you can still,
I don't know if
new
people are
Game Boy
making
games.
Dreamcast games though.
Yeah, I don't know if people are making Dreamcast games, but it's neat to see the ways that I have discovered, and this may be old news to other folks, but I didn't realize that with some of these retro communities, there are people still creating games for these consoles that I thought were kind of, you know, stopped in a moment in time, but they're not, which is neat. Uh, Val's final question is: do either of you have a gas station story?
Mine, I'm gonna keep super brief because it is a super
Mhm.
brief thing. I can send you this image, but I'm gonna just try to. That is me, circa October 12th
Oh
ish
my
of
gosh.
2016, when I still thought I was a cis man and have a different aesthetic. And it says pumping my own gas for the first time in 4.5 months in Bliss, Idaho, because I had been
Oh my
living
god.
in Oregon where you couldn't do that. So this is like the one gas station moment that I have captured and that I still have on my phone from October 14th. Um, and I got back to Iowa the next day, so that was a lot of driving. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that's my story is just pumping my own gas.
That's incredible. Mine is, well, I wish my gas station story was like an epic quitting story, like the end of my playthrough. I don't think I
And
have
you
an
and your
epic
crush
quitting story.
leave, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, oh, I wish. But I did work at Costco for a long time, like through my senior year of high school, through like Costco got me through college. it funded it funded me. And I mostly worked in the front registers and in the department they call majors, which is like the major purchases like electronics, the TV section, the computers. I loved it because you don't have to talk to people. You get there early, stock the big TVs, and you leave relatively early. But occasionally they would be short in the gas station. And occasionally I did have to work a few shifts at the gas station. Um, it fortunately was pretty chill, but I think my story from that I did not realize, and Monopoly Man made me think of this, is the number of people who just don't know how to function at a gas station or are just so unaware or not thinking about the fact that they're at a gas station. People who, even though their car is still plugged into the nozzle, will just try to drive away, and
Yeah.
like people who sort of just pull the nozzle out and just start holding on to the little trigger that's on there and just starting to let things go. um, so Monopoly Man actually brought me back to that. But fortunately, most of my shifts were not at the gas station because I would have gotten so bored at it. I loved doing the cash register. It made me feel fancy. I used my baby speak and typing skills. And then I loved, hiding from people behind big TVs. So that's my gas station story. Um, I did want to ask, just to kind of round this out, we have
Yeah.
so many other questions that I will be bringing to the Hangout on Saturday, January 31st, again, 3 p.m. Pacific, if you are able to make it. Wonderful. You don't have to talk if you're not wanting to talk. You can also just listen in, but we invite everyone to come up and speak in the guest stage in Discord if you want to. But to wind down our conversation, because I want to respect your time, and I was like, oh, surely we won't go over 2 hours, and it is almost three.
That's
Um,
okay.
I
Our
am,
conversation is almost as long as my first playthrough.
yeah, oh my gosh. Um, One thing that I found particularly interesting about the game is that it seems and it frames itself as a little bit of a hopeless experience of is filled with drudgery, it's filled with not great news, and you're in dire straits. But maybe because of my own ending, I felt like there are moments of hope and moments of resistance and solidarity throughout the game. I'm curious, as you played, what are some of the ways that you felt you found hope, if you did, within the game? And what are some of the lessons or thoughts that you wanted to take away after finishing it?
Really, and I kind of touched on this earlier,
Hmm.
and it was the day three, day four customer interactions, and everybody just like having the vibe of like checking in on each other. And that's something we need to actually just do all the time. Like, even if it's through a screen and you don't have someone there, um, it's great to have other people physically around you that can have your back and vice versa. But at least just the baseline of like checking in on your neighbors or your customers in
Yeah.
whatever little way you can, like anything like that, I think is really uplifting and helpful and positive in a world that is not always very kind to us, especially currently. But there's also so much
Hmm.
else happening in the world that's also bad right now and always.
Yeah.
Um, and so even though I had this kind of like fuck it mentality by day three and four and like wanting to quit, but that not being an option I had, wanting to stop using the Keyblade, but that not being an option I had, and then a pretty brutal conclusion, my like little bit of hope for humanity in the game and in real life was just like those little just customer moments of being like, hey, you good? What's happening to you?
Mm.
Like, what crazy thing is going on in your world? Like, how can I somewhat positively comment on or react to that, or just like have the shared camaraderie of like shit is fucked for all of us, but we got each other. We got something. That
Hmm.
was really it for me, like that core thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was interesting because as I was playing, there was a part of me that was like, "Oh, clerk, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? Why can't
Yeah.
you just stand up to this person or just break the cue boy a little sooner, or just why haven't you quit already? Because you're clearly unhappy at this job." Um, but it did get me to think about how like when again, I use the cog in the machine analogy. It's like if you're a cog, it can be really hard to break out of that machine. And I grew to, as I was playing, appreciate, like you said, the ability for people, even within these really tough situations where you kind of are stuck, because you do need to take care of yourself and the fact that you have bills to pay and an apartment to keep. But you can find other ways to show your solidarity and check in on people and take care of them. Even things like seeing Sam really not want to interact with customers, being like, okay, you know what? I know you're at your limit there. I will take that for you. And I will just do that. And I know it's not going to be, doesn't change everything in the big scheme of things, but today it'll make you feel a little bit better. It made me appreciate those moments and think about them, I think, with more weight than the weight that sometimes I feel like I will overlook, where I'm like, oh, but that's not a big deal. It's not changing the world, but it's like it changed that person's world for a bit. So maybe
Yeah,
we
it
should
changed that moment at
appreciate
least.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
a very real thing from over an hour ago was being like, I don't want to be an ass to this person. They might be having a bad day. And
Right.
I don't know, anything you can do to not choose to make someone's day worse, whether it's in a game or
Hmm.
in real life. Like, you need to typically choose to be an ass. So, not doing that
Yeah.
is helpful.
Yeah. It is, and I think it can feel very insignificant because I think it can feel like it's such an easy thing sometimes to do, that it's like, well, if it's not hard, if it's not a big hard challenging thing, doesn't matter. And I'm like, I need reminding, at least. I won't maybe you are all smarter and wiser than I am, but I need reminding of that sometimes, where sometimes it is the little things that can build up and make a difference. But even if they don't build up, you made a difference, like you said, in that moment. Yeah. All right. Well, we have plenty more questions, but we will
Yeah.
save those for the hangout. As we are winding down today, Chris, you have hung out with us this month in the cafe. I'm so appreciative of you. Thank you so
I'm so
much for
appreciative of
taking the
you.
time. Yeah. Oh my gosh. If you're all not following Chris and everything that they're doing, you're missing out, truly. Chris, could you remind us where to find all of your work and what you have coming up?
Yeah, right now the thing that is the newest that I'm pushing the most is the Substack, just Honest Indies on Substack. It's free to read, follow, like nothing I ever do, partially because I'm just this tiny little person in the internet. Never gonna have ads or anything anywhere or ask for money ever. So there I have different written things. So far, there is a developer interview with Monsoon Studios, who are making two games right now, which is cool. A couple of different just like recommendations for different games coming out. The first episode of the podcast is there, plus Apple and YouTube and everywhere that's not Spotify. And then also I have YouTube where the podcast is, and also just playthroughs of games primarily. Some of them that were live on Twitch, some that were only pre recorded. And I'm going to try to branch into learning different editing things and having different stuff there too. And then
Yeah.
you can follow me at Honest Indies on Instagram and Blue Sky. If you feel like following my personal account, Honest Juicebox, that's on Instagram as well. I still post a little bit of game stuff there, and the game things are still posting about non game things and reposting relevant things in life that need to be shared and seen by people.
Hmm.
And I have more podcasts lined up. I mentioned the Spirit Lift earlier. I'm going to be talking to those developers soon, and just keep an eye out for more of that. The thing I want to do the most, whether it's in written form or via the podcast, is just highlight creators, their games, and just themselves. So I'm going to try to do more of that for as long as I can.
Yeah. I'm so excited to continue to follow your work. As I've said before, big fan of all you do. And yeah, I'm just honored that you would join the podcast and join the discussion. And I'm sure you'll be back again someday. So
Anytime.
yeah,
And
yeah, thank you
likewise,
so
if
much.
you happen to know someone I could interview, maybe that has worked as a developer and with
Mhm.
publishers and has established their own showcase show and dabbled in publishing games, um, has purple hair, I don't know.
Oh,
If you know anybody
okay.
like
Hold on.
that, let me
Not me being like, oh yeah, I'll definitely try to think of someone.
know.
Let me have a think. See if I can get back to you. Of
Yeah, clearly
course.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about Victoria Tran, who does all this, and like not you. But no,
Oh my
seriously,
gosh.
if you would ever love
Truly.
to chat, I am here for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, super honored. Again, go follow Chris everywhere. Very easy. I think it's a no-brainer. Um, in the meantime, get ready to go on a road trip of epic proportions because we are already heading into February. What? That is wild. Yeah, time continues to evade me, but since it moves on, we continue to try and keep up. And we are going to be going on a road trip in Kentucky Route Zero. And I'm very honored to say that I will be joined by Katie of Katie and Catburger of YouTube fame. I have been such a big fan of Katie's video essays and coverage of indie games, incredibly thoughtful. And I actually discovered Katie through Kentucky Route Zero many years ago. So it's kind of been a dream. Like, as I was thinking of Kentucky Route Zero when it was nominated, I immediately thought of Katie and reached out, and Katie said yes. So, very excited to introduce the decade spanning game and its themes with Katie on February 3rd. Hello, editing Chica here from the future of when we recorded this, but the past because you're watching this as I am editing. Um, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry. I lied. The intro video and podcast for Kentucky Route Zero is coming in on February 10th, not the 3rd. I misspoke. So you're able to start Kentucky Route Zero whenever your heart desires. Feel free to jump into it. Even send some preliminary thoughts on the game if you would like, but know that the introductory episode with Katie is not coming out until the 10th. And that's where we'll set the context for the game, a little bit about its development, share any additional resources that we think may be great. And if you've got additional resources, please feel free to send them my way and we can include them in the podcast. And the full discussion episode will be coming out on the 24th. So that's just me wanting to make sure I fix my lies because I don't want to lie to you. All right, back to the show. So, yeah, in the meantime, I guess get your cars ready, pack your bags.
We're
and we
leaving the
will
gas
see you.
station finally.
We're leaving the gas station. We're going to be on the road. And hopefully our adventures will be a little bit more positive than some of these experiences we've had. And I'm excited for them. So I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.